Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Oh, it's Wednesday night before pay-per-view. It's the Mark Order Podcast here on the Shining Wizard Network. Episode 75. Not quite 600, but who gives a shit about that? Hey, you're muted. I don't know what you're trying to say.
Not quite 69 either.
That's right. Those were the days.
Were they ever?
When numbers meant something.
Back when numbers were men.
Yeah. Back when numbers were men who knew how to be men. Yeah. So, it's the Mark Order Podcast, episode 75. It's the go home to All Out.
We're here to roast Tony.
No, we're not. We're not doing that gimmick numbers bullshit. I get
Only
it.
when it's 69.
Yeah, that's a one-time deal.
Yeah, that's a
one-time deal.
And a 169.
Well,
and 96, right? I mean, why not?
oof, you don't want to know about the 96.
Touching butts
No.
on the 96.
No, you don't want to deal with the 96.
Is that a thing?
I have no idea. I'm just fucking with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just assumed it was rubbing butts. I was like, that's just boring.
Well, yeah, I guess it is rubbing butts. I mean, I'm trying to think.
96, me dad.
Okay, so, I don't know.
If you're listening in audio form and not watching Ant
Looking at my hands.
play with his hands trying to formulate a 96.
Doesn't
Sexy 96.
Oy. It's the three-man crew here tonight. It's Ryan Schlong.
Hello.
Sorry, I should say the three-person crew. My apologies. Kate, you're here as well.
Look, I'm not the PC police. I'm not here to get picky about that, man.
I don't want them to come beat our door down. I don't want to have to, I also don't want to have to beat cancel culture over 40 times.
No.
Yeah, I've come to realization though that the PC police don't beat your door down. They knock politely.
That's fair.
They would.
They would, yeah. Because
They
they're
certainly
gentle.
would. So what's good, folks?
Just living the dream. Started a new gig this week.
Yeah, so you can finally pay for that internet connection, huh?
It's not the payment of the internet connection so much of the incompetence of Optimum, but
Yeah, nothing there.
but yeah, my internet is working today, I think. So that's good. But
Well, you just jinxed it.
yeah, knock on all the wood.
Yeah, I was having optimum internet issues myself. So apologies for being late.
The worst.
Is that like your big one up there?
Well, you do have options. There's Optimum. There's Verizon Fios. There's Optimum also has whatever their thing is, Altice, which is like a fiber optic type thing. And then there's a couple of, I mean, you've got the dishes. You've also got what's the other one, Kate? There's another big one in this area. Comcast.
Spectrum? The old
So Comcast is up there.
Yeah, there's some Comcast up here. There's some Spectrum. But Ryan, the thing that's unfortunate for me is I don't have any options. It's
Same.
only Optimum or you can do a dish. And
Yeah.
in that case, I would still have to deal with Optimum for the internet. So
Yeah, for
The
me
crazy-
it was Comcast or bust, but at least Comcast not good. Seems a little bit better than Optimum.
well,
Optimum heckin' sucks.
yeah, they do. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, I pay enough for cable, and the amount of times I've had issues with my cable, and then they come out and they say everything looks right to me, and I'm like, bro, it doesn't work.
You're
Like you
"But
have
it
to.
doesn't work." It's not so much about the way it looks as much as the way it functions.
Do you know one time a cable was cut? Like a cable was cut that was going like running under my siding or something like that. And I called them out. I said, a cable's cut. I'm working from home. I need this restored. I can't. And they
Yeah.
go, we can't run the cable through your house. It's like, well, then who the fuck would if I needed cable? Like, they were like, yeah, we can't go through your house. So you know what their solution was? We'll patch it, and then we're just going to loop it around your chimney. So I literally have a cable wire going across my roof, looped around my chimney to the other side of my house. They said that we can't put it through your house. I said, then who does? You're the cable people.
That's bananas. Bananas.
Stupid. Just fucking dumb.
Hey,
And I've tried to upgrade too, by the way. I've tried to do that Altice thing, Kate. You know what they tell me? I'm not qualified. I'm like, I have your fucking cable.
Yeah, but the fiber optic thing is different. I remember in New York when we had Verizon, Fios was like its own animal.
Yeah.
However, Optimum fucking sucks. So
They do.
more like Opta none. You know what I mean?
No, that's not a
No.
good one.
No.
It's terrible.
No.
Terrible like their internet service.
There you go. You're
There
back.
it is. Yep.
We back.
Well, you froze. So it's perfect.
Perfect. Fucking
Did she?
perfect.
Yeah.
She freeze to me.
Oh, she froze to me. But maybe then it was mine. Oh, who cares?
I thought she was just really selling it, Aunt. You might have just fallen for her sell job.
Did you just stop talking and freeze, Kate?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you did.
Well, just then I did, but not originally.
Whatever. I'll go back and have to watch it. I'll have to go back and rewatch us.
I sell like Ziggler, baby. Sell like HBK at SummerSlam. Let's fucking go.
So you started a new gig this week.
I did. It's good
Awesome.
so far. I was picky about what I chose next because being in business for myself got unworkable.
It's
With
because you
what I
refused to do
do-
OnlyFans.
Yeah, I probably should have been like, should I do foot stuff instead of get like a real job? But I was picky and I really, really wanted something that was fully remote so that I could continue to do stuff like this and all my Fightful work and whatever. So this is fully remote, and that's also just like very, very livable with my life so far. Like not a micromanaging environment, which is good. Not a lot of unnecessary meetings. A lot of meetings, but not unnecessary ones. And it's only like my third day. So I'm mostly just training. But like, it seems like it's going to be a good fit, which I'm excited about because that was very not fun and nerve-wracking for a few months there.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah, and her
excited.
pimp hasn't had to hit her yet, so that's good.
Not yet. That's like a week 2 in the training situation. But I think it's going to be good. And if I want to see wherever this weird little wrestling path goes, or if I want to rebuild my business, I think there's like breathing room to pursue stuff that I want to do. And if not, it's enough money to give me the life that I desire and quite frankly deserve.
Well, you know your lifestyle.
I do.
So. And
I'm
don't
very,
forget,
very high maintenance, obviously.
totally. Don't forget, like Metallica said, your lifestyle determines your death style. So
It's extremely true.
it's going to be a ball of flames, I guess.
It is. Autumn is coming. There's going to be a lot of pumpkin spice lattes that
You're
I,
going
as
to be
a
even
white
more
girl,
basic, huh?
I'm going to be even more basic, and I'm legally obligated to, as a white girl, buy a lot of pumpkin spice stuff. So it was important that I got the funding in place to do that first.
True.
As well as a lot of wrestling events, which we could talk about in news and notes. But I think there's a hot rumor that we're getting something coming our way.
I
Excited.
don't know. We'll talk about it later, I guess. I don't know if I saw what you're talking about, but maybe I did. Maybe I just Maybe I'm just a little slow.
How are
Ryan,
you, Aunt? Oh, you can do it.
wait, let's see if Ryan actually wants to tell us anything about his life. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Can we
That's
talk
it?
about?
Listen,
Can we talk about fucking Tyrus and Tenzai in your background?
you can't set me up to see. Let's see if Ryan will talk about his life and expect me to say anything, man. Like that's.
Can we
We're
talk
just
about
ready
the
to talk about your life,
Funkadactyls
Ryan. Jesus.
We could talk about the Funkadactyls.
and the Funkadactyl and Lord Tenzai behind you? Because what a
Sweet tea by this point.
My God, only Naomi out of the three of them could wrestle.
Matt Bloom could wrestle.
Not by this stage of his career.
Well, no, by this. Okay, if we want to go by this stage of the career, fine. Yeah, no, that's fair. And Tyrus is still somehow wrestling.
Well,
Where is he wrestling now?
NWA,
Fox
Network?
baby.
Oh,
Also that.
yeah.
He's-
Not Fox News. Yeah.
Fox News.
I will say this. When I was working in New York, pre-COVID, when our office was like uptown, right in Midtown, I used to love going to Times Square on lunch just to people watch. I didn't walk around. I didn't do any of the tourist bullshit. I would literally just park and people watch. And I saw Tyrus walking through once. That dude's fucking massive. He is huge. Like sometimes like when we've gone to, like Atlantic City and we've seen these guys walking around and you're like, oh man, I thought they'd be bigger. No, Tyrus was fucking huge, dude.
He is very large, and ergo should probably not be trying frog splashes under any circumstances.
No.
Billy Corgan hates his own promotion is the only thing I could take out of what happened to NWA this weekend. But we'll talk about good wrestling instead, because that was a shit show.
Is Tony Z in the chat? This would be good wrestling to him.
It's true.
I don't know if it would though, because he hates so much stuff that's good, and then he loves NWA. I don't.
That's
know
what I'm saying.
if
We
he
just talk
actually loves
NWA.
it.
He may love it.
No, I don't know if he loves it though. Like I can't even tell. Like I think it might all be a work.
No, this last one, I think he was like, you know what? Some of the matches were good, but this is not. Billy, you don't have to prove anything. Okay, through the eyes of Ruby, whatever. Smashing Pumpkins, you had your moment. You can retire from wrestling. It's all, you're good, man. You give it up. Stop disgracing NWA's name.
I mean, if you need to know if Billy Corgan enjoys life, you just need to reference Billy Corgan being sad at Disneyland. I mean, this is him on a fantastic ride. He just hates his life.
Holy fuck.
You never saw this photo?
No, but I'm literally going to go download it to my memes folder right now.
Yeah, it's sad Billy Corgan at Disneyland.
Yeah, that's so perfect.
Well, under what circumstances is he making that face at Disney?
I don't know, but he really
it
does
wasn't
not
a
like.
small world after all.
He just is really not having a good time
You're not gonna have a good
on
time.
Big Thunder
Pizza
Railroad.
when he should have French fried, and he's not gonna have a good time.
That's the issue.
That's it.
The Us Weekly headline is Billy Corgan holds on for dear life.
Yeah,
Disneyland ride. Oh
that's pretty old. That's from like 2015.
Oh my god, that's hysterical.
Just hilarious. Anytime somebody starts talking about WPC, I'm like, that's the guy I see.
Holy shit, that's so funny. Thank you for bringing that into my life.
I can't believe you never saw that.
I can't believe I didn't either.
So Ryan, there was a question though that I have to sort of get to in the chat. Rob Humphrey wanted to know, when is the last time you left the house?
Yesterday.
Okay. How long did you leave the house for?
I had a work lunch.
Okay.
I have to leave. I know we joke. I have to leave my house a lot for work, so unfortunately, that kind of.
What about
I just don't think-
recreationally?
Yeah.
Recreate this weekend.
That's good. Okay. What did you do this weekend?
I had a fantasy football draft.
Oh, right. Nice. Well played.
So
Okay.
I had two of them actually, but one of them was on the computer.
One of them was on the computer.
Yeah, like
No, I know. It just sounded very.
It sounded like my
very
dad.
boomerish. Yeah,
yeah,
it was
fine.
on the computer.
It was on the computer.
Oh man!
Listen, I did the dial up. I got in.
Did you have to take your receiver off the wall and then put it onto your modem?
They kept telling me that I didn't have to use the phone, but I kept calling.
You just said phone and not phone.
Yeah, it's
Because
because
I'm
you
trying
put
to
on
do
a
an
weird
accent.
accent. Yeah.
Progress, though. I'll take it.
Now I'm going to lean more into my Philly accent.
That's
Now
fine.
you're gonna lean
Hey.
more into it. How's that possible?
I'll lean more into your Philly accent,
I
too.
don't have the worst one. Like, I have a bad one, but not the worst one.
No, legit, when we went to ROH, yeah, I think it was ROH. I was like, these people, if they were on TV, would need subtitles. Like, I don't know what you're saying.
Like, mine's my O's, and that's it. But, like, I don't say wooder. I don't say a lot of the other weird things that they say. I just can't get the O's right.
Okay.
At least, see, you said I can't get them right, which means you admit they were wrong, which is great. It's progress.
Have I ever stated that I like my accent?
No, but you keep shoving it down our throats by
true.
talking.
The first step to fixing it is admitting you have a problem.
It's true. We're proud of you.
I'm not fixing it, though. I'm going to lean more into it.
I still don't understand. I don't know if that's possible.
I'm going to start saying wooder.
Oh, boy.
Ugh.
What are some of the other words you don't get right? You say eagles?
Hoagie.
I don't say eagles. Hoagie's the O. O's I screw up, but I don't say
Hey,
eagles.
that was close. Did you hear him say eagles? It
I
was
said
close.
eagles on purpose. You said I don't say. I said I don't say eagles.
Oh, all right.
I say eagles. I say water.
Mhm.
He's getting
What else do
very
they say?
defensive.
He is.
No, because what else do they say is weird? I don't say like D. You ever hear like a Philly person say day, like Tuesday, Wednesday?
Oh, I fucking hate that. I didn't even know that was
I thought that was more of a DC thing.
Is it? Because I've heard some people up here do it. I don't do that.
Thank God, because that's awful. Bagel?
It's
Bagel.
bagel.
Yeah.
It's bagel.
No.
That's what Matt says and his figures.
And the best was Matt. Say WASH. He's just like Warsh.
Warsh is the best. Like, say what you want, but I don't add a letter to my words.
No, you don't say WORSH.
Washington. Oh my God. Well, I'm glad to see you're starting to branch out a little bit, Ryan. You're doing a little more socially out in public.
I will be out in public in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Big announcement.
Ryan's coming out in 3 weeks.
You will see me there.
I know, I'm excited.
Ryan's coming out.
I mean, and with my luck, I'll get some weird disease.
Monkeypox. Perfect.
Yes.
Listen, if I got monkeypox, it means at least I was having an exciting life, so there'd be that.
It's true.
I mean, it is New York City. You don't have to be living an exciting life. You could just be on a subway and somebody's breathing into your mouth.
You're not wrong.
That's why I don't go on subways.
I'm not.
Aunt, how's
You don't
your
take the
kitchen?
SEPTA?
No, Philly's public transit sucks.
It's the SEPTA. Southeast.
That's more like
Pennsylvania
septic.
Transit.
Am I right?
Hey-o.
Hey!
Ooh.
Aunt, how's your kitchen?
The fans are gone, but nothing's fixed. So now I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the insurance. So I got to give them a call tomorrow and be like,
No.
you guys going to, figure out the insurance piece? Because we can't move forward without the insurance.
It's an important one.
Yeah. So,
How's your tum-tum?
Tum's good. Tum is good. As I was saying before we got on the air, Tum is fine. It's sore on my mouth that's been bothering me. So I was supposed to I was scheduled to roast Tony on Monday night. But I didn't. And I got probably 2 or 3 hours of sleep Sunday into Monday. And Matt just sends me a text and he's like, you want an early or a late time? And I was just like, dude, this thing isn't happening. I can barely talk. I barely slept. Like, it's not happening. But I saw you two chuckleheads did it.
Yeah, apparently if you try not to be too mean, they just shit on you for the rest of the show.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they
That's
shit
true.
on you most of the time for everything. But I did okay. I just stuck to some old jokes because Tony's really old.
Yeah, for the most part, you kept it PG, Kate.
I did.
I just made fun of Tony for liking shitty wrestling.
It's true.
You did, which is fair.
That is
I
fair.
said he's so old that his last live wrestling show had a Ferris wheel and a funnel cake, which was my favorite one of them because that was extra marky.
Yeah, that was a little marky. I did also enjoy. I enjoyed. KP Burke was hilarious.
KP Burke was amazing. It did also at some point just turn into roasting Kevin somehow. Who's in the chat?
Still funny.
I don't know how or why, but it was all great.
Yep. Mike Peterson showed
was
a dick
on
pic.
it. Yep.
Yep. He that was a good one. He goes, I drew a dick pic today if you want to see it. And it was just Tony written on a piece of paper. That was good. I'm not gonna lie, and this is not because of any familial connection. I thought the Voice of Reasons was pretty good.
He was great.
Although I really enjoy how a quitter buried this podcast.
Yeah, who is he to talk about us? He quit.
Right,
But the rest of his was very good.
The other person who quit did not do so great.
No, and then we got tied together.
That was very funny.
Just crickets for the old Ryan Arthur.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh man.
KP Burke though was very, very funny, and the one thing that popped me really hard after Danny Magic did his bit, and Kevin goes, "Can you explain the reference to me?" And Danny Magic just goes, "Do you want me to explain comedy to you?" But he must not have heard that Kevin retired. So
evidently not. Kevin retired that day. So.
Oh, he's back. He's out of retirement, just like Ric Flair. All right.
There you go. He'll have a Ric Flair last tour. Someday, when the stars align, we'll get Danny Magic back on here.
No, we won't.
For one night only.
Nope.
He buried us. Fuck him.
Oh, that's true. Fuck Danny.
Not even that. I'll tell you this. I've asked on numerous occasions where we might have needed a third or somebody, like, hey, you want to jump in? And it's always been like, oh, I wish I could. So I'm like, forget it. I'm not even bothering anymore. You're off the list.
You know what? You bury us. We're burying you right now, Danny.
You're off the list.
Show up. Work hard, play hard.
I remember one time he was like, I guess he didn't realize we moved to StreamYard. And he's just like, I'm going to try to jump in the Zoom. I'm like, good luck, buddy. Go ahead.
He jumped in the Zoom.
Go ahead. Get in the Zoom.
Where's everyone?
Oh, I can't get into this room at all.
Dummy.
Yeah, dummy.
But it was a very fun roast. I guess Matt's recovering from all the heavy lifting he had to do putting that show together.
I guess so.
So if
Hollywood
you want to
was
listen to a
on.
funny roast, go listen to the Shining Wizards. Their this week's Monday night episode was the roast of Tony Z, but it ended up just being making fun of everyone.
Yeah, and it was their 600th episode, which is just like an insane milestone. So that rules. Almost 11 years doing it. So
And
Nico Maestro ended up being funny.
What's that?
always.
Nico Maestro, when he came with that picture at the end.
Ridiculous.
Miko is always a riot. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. He just is. So go check it out. And then if you want to watch a funny roast, go look up some old Dean Martin ones, I guess.
Yeah. Or like Friars Club. Yeah, I mean, of course, 600 episodes, they got to do some sort of gimmick to pop the numbers. Like you said, Kate, 11 years. I mean, you can only be mediocre for so long. KP Burke said it best. Congratulations on like 347 good episodes.
Whoa. In fairness, you could be mediocre for a long time. I've been pulling it off for 35 years.
Well,
Good point.
this is the A show, buddy. You better strap it up.
Get on board or get left behind, bro.
That's it. Pick your shit up.
Listen, my idols are behind me. That's how I base everything.
Oh, those are your idols? Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no, Ryan.
There's going to be some problematic statements you're going to uncover from the phone.
Somebody
Not the
call
phone
your
connect.
mama.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think we should move right along.
What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about let's
Not
talk
tyrants.
about Rampage real quick.
This is Rampage.
This is Rampage. Rampage Friday the 26th, low ratings again. It's really weird, that show. It's either like good ratings, low ratings, there's no in between, and everything affects it. They were like, football affected. I'm like, it's a goddamn preseason. Why are people even watching preseason football? Jesus.
People love preseason football.
10
It's
o'clock on
weird.
a Friday is brutal.
It is.
They're never, but I don't think it's an expensive show for either side.
No, they've already got the arena booked, right? So you just tape it and put it on air.
Yeah.
And it's probably a cheap hour for TBS. They probably didn't pay a heck of a lot more.
No.
And it's
What do they care?
original
They already have the
programming.
sponsorship in place.
As somebody who reviews it at 11 o'clock at night, I would love it if they fucking moved it to like 7. Change it for the love of God, please.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't see why they
Pre-prime
don't.
time? Wow.
Because you can then play the West Coast at 7 their time because it's recorded anyway. It's not like you're worrying about, oh no, the live spoilers.
It's very true. I loved it when it was like, it's on at 3:30 p.m. because of sports. I was like, I'm in. Let's go.
Was I don't know if the goal with 10 o'clock was because of sports, or if it was that they just wanted to like air a movie before it or something like that. I don't know if it had to do with actually like airing it on the West Coast live, but
No, I think it had much more to do with SmackDown. I think they didn't want to.
oh
take a
yeah,
chunk at
SmackDown
it.
too.
Yeah.
I forgot about that shit.
And 10 o'clock on a Friday is such a dead hour that they're probably like, you have some hope of bringing in someone.
Right.
So we'll and I guess I don't know how. I'm not going to pretend to be a TV ad expert, but I gotta believe ads pay more for shows that are being actively watched versus what could be suspected just left on viewing.
Yeah, I mean,
TBS rerun movies, a lot of times I feel like their numbers are just heavily viewed by people not turning off their cable box.
my favorite couple things for Rampage, by the way, that you were talking about movies and stuff. My favorite was one week, somebody in the crowd actually had a sign saying "coming up next" with the movie, and they like must have looked ahead in the schedule, so they knew what was coming on TV on TNT after Rampage. They were like, "Stay tuned for Kong Skull Island," and it was like on next. It was really funny.
That's clever.
My other favorite thing was one week, the movie Rampage, like
Let it
with The Rock
Rampage.
was
Every
on.
time.
They were like, stay tuned next for Rampage. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I realized, oh, the movie.
It's very confusing on the programming guide. And shout out to Tony in the chat who has no input
shout out to him
on what happens on this show.
No.
Hey Kate, do me a favor.
Well, how the turntables.
Kate, do me a favor. Put your water bottle next to your head.
How big is that goddamn water bottle? 64 ounces? A gallon.
Jesus Christ.
Mine's
It is
like
literally bigger than her head.
32 ounces.
It's like baby.
I'm watching
feel like
you
a
lug
baby
this
holding
thing
a
off
bottle.
the camera, and I'm like, my God.
Do you actually fill that thing with a gallon of water?
I do. I was told by my doctor I need to do a better job of it. And it has these little like benchmarks from 7 a.m., which I don't start at, to 9 p.m. But it's like basically 1.5 inches of water every couple hours. But I usually make it through now. I had to like work my way up because I was just running to the bathroom every 20 seconds.
Work.
That has to get warm as shit through the day, though.
I just throw ice cubes in it or whatever. It can fit in my fridge miraculously.
It can't?
It can.
Oh, it can. I was like, oh my God, it can't fit in your fridge.
But what's
That's a
so
problem.
funny is it has like these little like finger grips on the side like a baby bottle because it's so enormous.
Yep.
And they make gallon-sized ones, I think, that are just fatter and not as tall. This one I got off Amazon, so I didn't really see it. And it is helpful to just have a bunch of water in here and to make my way through it. But it is like if I want to bring it to the beach or whatever, I'm like, do I have to put this thing in a fucking seatbelt? It's enormous. But Any Hooters.
So, okay, can I get your opinion though? If you had to pick, which one was better? Would it be short and fat or long and skinny?
I mean, preferably
Your preference.
find a happy medium.
No,
where
no,
you
you
have-
have to pick one or the other. You have to
You
pick
have
one
to
or the
pick
other.
one.
I-
What's your
I'm
preference?
saying-
Short and fat or long and skinny?
I mean, long and skinny, I guess.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
God
All right. Well,
I would say
you
most
heard it here
ladies
first. Kate likes
prefer.
them long and skinny.
I think most ladies prefer it like longer and skinnier because it's just easier to handle that way. You know.
You're
just
so
makes
you're
it-
not about the girth. It's the length, not the girth.
I mean, like I said before, you guys cut me off. Ideally, you'd have a nice balance of girth and length. But if I had to choose between those two things, I would say it's easier to handle something that's long and skinny. It makes for a more pleasurable experience.
Right. You don't need a chode.
No, I don't want a chode water bottle.
Yeah, but I'd be worried like when you're taking down the
Or
water, you might
dick.
choke on it if it's too long and skinny.
Oh, that's
What if
not a
it just
problem.
shoots
That's not
you
a
in the
problem for me.
face? No? All right. Well, you heard it.
It's not an
Kate.
issue.
Kate doesn't have a problem with them long. All right.
I don't have a problem choking on any long things.
Okay. We've seen you eat a hot dog, so we know that's true. Anyway, let's get back to Rampage from Friday night. Some setup to this week, and then, we're also sort of looking at All Out as well. We had the Trios Championship Tournament match lead off. It was the House of Black versus the Dark Order. That was John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Preston Vance. And the Dark Order winds up beating House of Black to advance in the tournament, but as the House of Black kind of gets after this match, they start to Miro's music hits after this match, and then they start to beat him up, and then the save is made by Darby Allin and Sting. So clearly we've got something going on there.
This was so fucking stupid at the end. How is this not a DQ?
Listen,
It made no sense.
all I know is that we also found out Preston Vance, like during this match, he was grabbing his knee, like his knee gave out, that knee brace. So who knows what's going to happen to the Dark Order now, because they got to find another partner.
I
So,
think
Don't worry, they have
who
Evil Uno.
knows?
well, maybe Ryan, we'll see. Maybe something happened on Dynamite that will.
I live in the moment. I don't look to the future.
Okay. So we had that trios match. I mean, listen, guys, if we're being honest, fucking House of Black should have won that. Should have won that match.
Yeah, but I
I
get the
I know
story
what they're
where they're
doing.
going with the finals.
know.
But yeah,
But like,
I'm okay with it. I don't like that kind of finish. The distraction finish always drives me nuts, so I won't say I liked it. I think they could have done that better, but I like that they're forwarding the Miro feud. And listen, we know the story they're telling, and the story they're telling is great. So I can live with some poor execution for the overall story.
I don't want Sting and Darby in this. I just want
Well,
to see
that's a different story they're telling that I don't like.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I just want Miro to run through all three of these guys, and I think that would be super fucking fun. But yeah, this was a really dumb ending.
yeah, Ryan, I'm with you. The distraction finish is something I don't love. They don't do it all that often. So
No, so I was a little surprised because even like in the Death Triangle match where they got cost because of Kip Sabian, that wasn't distraction. Kip physically got into the match.
right.
I can
Well,
stomach
this
that.
wasn't like even just distraction. His music hit. Like this should have been a disqualification. Like
It was a roll up, and I hate roll up finishes like that.
oh, me too. Weak.
Well, moving on from this, Hook is interviewed backstage. He doesn't care about Daddy Magic or Cool Hand Ange. And then they come out and they basically flip out over Hook's response. So we're building there. We're building something. We're building. Ryan Nemeth, the Hollywood hunk, comes out, shits all over Cleveland, even though he grew up in Cleveland. And then Wardlow came out, and Nemeth calls him a loser and then gets thoroughly squashed. So Wardlow does hold on to his TNT championship. But the fun thing here is Chris Sabin and Jay Lethal's crew were watching from the stage. So that's a lot of fun to see Chris Sabin on TV.
Also, Ryan never called him a 2-pump chump.
That's right, he did. That's right.
Yeah,
he
it's such
did.
a weird insult. I never heard anyone complain about that.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Okay. Listen, Ryan, Kate likes them long and skinny, and she's called people 2-pump chumps. I know it. I can just see it on her face.
It's about drive. It's about power, you know? And I just don't appreciate a 2-pump chump.
She stays hungry and she devours.
It's about generating as much power from the bottom.
That's right. That's exactly what The Rock said.
That's right. So let's see here. We have tension backstage within the Andrade family office. They point out that Private Party have recently been losing. Private Party returns with basically saying, "Hey, you guys lost last week or a couple weeks ago." And Andrade warns them that everything has consequences and walks out. My favorite thing here is that Rush and Andrade correct them and say, hey, we didn't lose. Dragon Lee lost.
Yeah. That was fun.
Fantastic. Powerhouse Hobbs squashes Ashton Day. And then after the match, the Factory are shown backstage beating Ricky Starks up. He's bleeding from the mouth. QT Marshall punches him in the face with a watch around his fist. And Hobbs is very pleased with what he sees.
Excellent.
That's right. Jade Cargill is backstage and challenges Athena to take her for the TBS title at All Out. And then Athena comes in and attacks Jade Cargill, and they have to be separated by officials. So that was something we found out Friday night. We're getting Athena and Jade Cargill at All Out for the TBS championship. It's a streak and the title on the line for Jade Cargill. This has to be it, right, guys?
I hope so. It's gotta be. Like, we need somebody that has a stronger in-ring acumen, I think, holding what should be the open challenge title. And I think the thing that sucks is I really think this was going to be Chris Statlander's spot. So if you give it to Athena and she has it for a while, depending on when Chris is healthy, there's also a really fun story right there waiting for you. So that could be super fun. But I think it would be a very healthy decision, because I also just don't know what juice is left in a Jade Cargill title, right? Like, it did everything it's supposed to do. So let's hope that it's a decent enough match and that booking goes in the direction of Athena.
I mean, it's like the whole thing with Jade is who is there left to feed her, right? Like, there's nobody left. It has to be Athena, because after Athena, if Jade retains this title, who's left?
Britt Baker. That's
I mean,
concern.
I guess
you would have to turn Britt face, which I don't think they can do right now, because there's enough heat on her booking, not on her, that I don't think you probably want to do that. But that would be the only other person I can think of, and I think it would be wise to just give it to Athena, who has also looked great in ring when we've seen her. So
yeah, no, I agree.
Let her win it. Let her have a bunch of matches. And instead of, like, what I would do is I'd replace the Jade talking segments with Athena wrestling segments. I don't want to say replace. I'd hate to. I'd actually just like to have both, but I mean, I'm not, looking for miracles here, apparently.
I agree.
So yeah, I'm with.
It makes total sense. I mean, listen, Jade, I think we all hope this title run would just be like her defending the title against different people more often. And then maybe just the plans, like, everybody got hurt and they just kind of scrapped a lot of the plans. But either way, I think this hopefully can be a really good match for the pay-per-view. And this has to be it. End the streak, get the title off her. She'll come back. Everything will be fine.
She'll go for the main title eventually. And that's where she probably fits that better anyway.
Yeah. I mean, she'll go against whoever wins that title Sunday. Shit, should we do picks tonight? I didn't even think about that.
I mean, we don't ever do anything with them, but we can.
We can talk about it. Let's see. Tay Mello and Sammy Guevara fight Ruby Soho and Ortiz, Tay and Sammy wind up coming up with the win. Ortiz gets distracted and walks into Sammy's springboard cutter for the win. Can I tell you guys something funny? I was watching this and Baby A was there as well, watching along, and I forgot I wasn't paying attention when Tay and Sammy came out, and then all I hear him go is "What?" and I look at the TV and they're smooching, and then they start like French kissing, and he starts cracking up, and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "They're licking each other's face." I'm like, "Yes, they are."
They kind of are.
He's like, he goes, "He licked her face." And I said, "Yeah, he did. That's gross, huh?" She goes, "Then she licked his." And I was like, "Yeah, it's gross, dude. We don't lick people's faces."
He's not wrong.
Now that there's no Eddie versus Sammy feud, what are we even doing?
Well, apparently running this back. So.
Yeah, I just don't know. Listen, and there's a lot of rumors with everything going on with Sammy and Eddie, right? Like the rumors are that Sammy's very difficult to work with, and then all the stuff that went down with Sammy and Eddie actually admits it, like he got hot and didn't handle things the best way. So we know that at least that's true. There's a lot of, speculation out there, a lot of people talking about Sammy's hard to work with. Maybe this is the only option he's got at the moment. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that Scorpio feud, but it does crack me up that, because I'm obviously an Eddie mark, that Eddie Kingston was like, "I was in the wrong. It was my fault," and everybody's still like, "Fuck Sammy Guevara."
Well, yeah.
Well, I do love though at the end of it all, he goes, and it just he points out Chris Jericho's book being like, never completely bury your opponent.
Right.
Yes.
So even though he's like, I was in the wrong for how I reacted, he's still not gonna be like, I was in the wrong for being mad.
Right. I just I just love that he was accountable. He served his suspension. There was an update, I know, on Fightful Select today that they both apologized to each other for their own spots. They squashed it. They moved on. But everybody on my timeline is still like, "Fuck Sammy."
That's true. Let's see here. We did get footage, Kate, of CM Punk in the trainer's room following the loss to Moxley. He didn't know what was going on with his foot. We don't know what's going on with CM Punk. We'll talk about CM Punk coming up. Don't worry. And then it's time for the main event. We interview Claudio Castagnoli and Dustin Rhodes ahead of the main event. And Claudio winds up defeating Dustin Rhodes to retain the Ring of Honor World Championship. Listen, a perfectly serviceable match. We know what you're getting out of Dustin. He does some really great moves for a guy his age and his size. That Code Red always looks amazing when he does it. The one thing that was funny was when he went to leapfrog, when Dustin went to leapfrog Claudio, and I guess either Claudio didn't duck or Dustin didn't get up high enough. And he kind of collided with his face. Again, Anthony,
Yes. Yeah.
Baby A is sitting with me, and he goes, "Oh, he collided with his penis." It's like, yeah, buddy, he did.
I saw somebody on Twitter point this out, and I thought it was worth noting that, obviously these two know what the fuck they're doing in the ring, but Dustin being the natural, he really does just have an answer for everything you could throw at him. He has a counter for everything. He knows how to make everything look good. I know obviously he's been doing this for a very long time, but between him and Claudio, this match was more fun than I thought it was going to be. I think this ended up, I feel like, being a really strong match. I didn't love the pop-up uppercut thing that it ended on, but overall I thought this match was actually exceeded my expectations for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Ring of Honor title match just out of the blue with, Dustin Rhodes. I mean, I didn't have high expectations, but I thought it was entertaining. I mean, Schlong, was it entertaining for you, or did you hate this? Are you going to throw me a curveball here?
I didn't have high hopes. I didn't have high hopes. No, I mean it was fine. Like, listen, you knew what it was going to be. It was going to be a decent match, and it was. I'm never going to complain about getting a decent match on Rampage because that's all I want.
This is Rampage.
It is Rampage, and I mean,
and it's time for the main event.
It is nice to just see that Ring of Honor title on TV, and again.
Yes.
Great. I love that they have, different ring announcers, different commentary crews. You know what I mean? Like they make it feel like a Ring of Honor match. It's just really getting to the point now where we're like, can you fucking announce Ring of Honor television? Like, let's go. Like, it's just taking too long. I wonder if this is something they were working on with, Time Warner, and now because of the whole Discovery Plus thing, it's sort of like taking a pause.
That's my guess, is that this is going to go to HBO Max. That's not an educated guess. That's just a shot in the dark guess. That this is supposed to go to HBO Max, and they're merging those platforms. So it's just going to it just takes time to do that.
Well, I would have guessed the same thing, Kate, but they're canceling so much stuff on HBO Max that I don't even know if that's a given anymore.
Yeah.
Because apparently they said it's not even the cost of production on a lot of these shows, because a lot of the titles are things they have acquired and stuff like that. It's just the cost of hosting them that they're trying to even just get rid of with HBO Max. The terrible thing is they're decimating what was a pretty good fucking platform.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking about the app performance and things like that, because that app was really fucking glitchy for me. But I'm talking about the amount of content that was on there. A lot of, like, a ton of movies, a ton of TV shows, things that, like, you definitely want to do. Like, even Sesame Street. I have a 5-year-old. He watches Sesame Street. They took, like, 300 episodes of Sesame Street off of HBO Max.
That's, like, a crime. Like wrestling aside, that's fucked up to do that, like, blindsidedly, because someone would want to buy that library. It's fucking Sesame Street, man.
It's crazy. But yeah, I think we need to figure out what's going on with Ring of Honor to get them on TV a little more consistently.
I miss it. Like, I really miss watching it.
I do too. It's a great brand, and the pay-per-views they've put on have been great. So like I would love weekly television, but we're not there.
My argument is that if this point you're not going to cut a deal with someone to get it on TV, then you better start thinking about like how you put it on like a YouTube making money on it, because you can only let this sit so long before people start to go like, okay.
You can't go to fucking YouTube with another show though. If they do that, they gotta combine the darks. It's just too. Like, I know it's the most widely accessible platform in the world, but like if you look at what performs, it's clips of the shows that are on TV. Like, they should have TV, and they just deserve it after fucking Sinclair doing what they did to them for as long as they did. But anyway, I'm heated.
Right. Oh man, well, we're almost an hour in to the show. We've still got to talk about
rankings.
The go home to All Out. Yeah, we got to talk about rankings, but we got to talk about the go home to All Out. We got to talk about All Out because that card expanded a bit tonight as well. So we got some All Out stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll pick All Out. Who knows? Some news and notes and fun things. So why don't we hit the pause button? And
just have dead air? That's a terrible idea.
Kate, I was gonna say I got a little thing here. It's like a little commercial break, and it's about the Shining Wizards Network. We're part of a network, right? For now.
What?
Yeah, for now, we're part of a podcast, quote unquote, network.
Interesting. This is the first I'm hearing about this.
Well, it's the Shining Wizards Network. A couple guys who did 600 episodes and a gimmick roast decided to put together a network, and we're part of it, even though we've become the top sellers on the network.
Obviously.
That's why we're in talks to purchase it. It's going to be a Discovery Plus style takeover when we get it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Fuck Sesame Street. Fuck the Shining Wizards.
We're going to burn a lot of the existing libraries down. I mean, it is going to be to the ground. Anyway, but there are some other shows we got to let you know about right now because we don't own the network. So why don't you sit back, Kate, educate yourself here, listen carefully, and hear about some of the other fine shows. Some fine shows on the Shining Wizards Network. Not all fine shows, just some of them. This is a fun game we like to play. Why don't you tell us in the chat if you can figure out which shows we love and which ones we don't necessarily love. But we love the Shining Wizards and we love the network. Stay tuned. The Mark Order Podcast will be right back.
Everyone knows a lot of things can change in the span of 10 years. But when it comes to professional wrestling podcasting, one thing is still guaranteed. The Shining Wizards is the only place to get all the latest wrestling news, interviews with the greatest guests, and of course, tons of laughs in discussing the world of wrestling. The show is still available on Monday nights at 7 p.m. East on rantemradio.com and Rant Entertainment Media on the TuneIn app. And it's still available on all podcasting platforms. To check us out, head over to shiningwizards.com, where it's still wrestling talk and talk about wrestling.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
Horns up, everyone. When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure every Friday to check out Radioactive Metal. Radioactive Metal is one of the longest running podcasts on the interweb. And every week we bring you a fist full of metal, including interviews with all your favorite artists, discuss all the metal news, and feature the best tunes on the air today. So grab a Lemmy, join your cool Uncle Snowy and co-host Aaron in the pit.
Your recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting from the current to the way back. Join the impact player Phil Brea and the Portuguese man of war Choppy for the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Live every week on rantemradio.com. Get all our episodes over at iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Audio Boom, Google Play, ShiningWizardsNetwork.com, and TurnbuckleThrowbacks.com.
Are you tired of being told what to think and believe by Hollywood elites and politicians who just don't care about you?
Tired of not getting the truth when you watch the news?
Tired of trying to figure out what pronoun to use?
Tired of mob mentality when all you want to do is think for yourself and make up your own mind?
That's where we come in. This is Justin.
And Vince.
Your host of Inconclusive Breakdown.
We are a weekly anti-PC podcast bringing you entertainment and current event news without any spin.
If you want to truly stay informed on what's going on in the world, then give us a listen every Sunday, anywhere you get podcasts, at least till Zuckerberg and Twitter Jack deplatform us.
And as always, we're proud members of the Shining Wizards Network.
Tired of the PC police telling you what you can and cannot say? Want a show that travels back to the 80s and 90s, where the badass hosts have beaten down cancel culture on 3 separate occasions and carried on to gloat about it? Since 2013, The Midnight Jury is that show. Travel back to the malls and arcades, pop in your VHS, and join us where the 80s and 90s return from the dead. Conan, tell them where to find us.
WLWstudios.com, home of the Midnight Jury podcast hosted by Midnight Mike and Calvin Brody.
Also available on all major podcast platforms via the Shining Wizards Network, and join in the conversation on Twitter at Midnight Jury.
What's up, wrestling fans? You want something awesome? Check out Wrestling Night in Canada here on the Shining Wizards Network. We're 3 Canadian metalheads uniting for the love of pro wrestling. Every episode we go over all the latest news and special events with the odd unique interview as well. So grab a cold one and check out Wrestling Night in Canada, eh?
All right, we're back here on the Mark Order podcast, part of the Shining Wizards Network. Kate, did you learn anything?
I learned so much. I learned about pronouns, and I learned about the PC police. And I gotta tell you, I don't know if I agree with everything that's on our network. I'm just finding out about it for the first time.
Well,
but Rob Humphrey says we endorse everything that's on there. I don't know if I feel that way.
Yeah, I don't know either.
We're gonna start needing to do like they do with political campaigns, with one of us at the end of like the ad break being like, "I'm Ryan for the Mark Order, and I endorse this message."
Or I don't endorse this.
Well, yeah, be more like I don't, but still.
Well,
throwing up
next up.
those.
What I do endorse is following the Mark Order podcast on social. And you can follow us on our socials at Mark Order Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I think I said that. YouTube, all those places. You can follow us. And if you go to our profiles, we have a link tree that you could click to find all of our socials, but also request some free stickers. So if you go there, click the button, and then give us your full name, your mailing address, and the country you live in.
And your credit card information.
No. We will not ask for your credit card information.
Blood type?
Nope.
Social
we're not asking
security
for
number.
Nope.
Your
none of that.
driver's license number.
No. We are just asking for your name, your mailing address. Now, guys, your mailing address is probably the most important part. If you want to make up a name, I don't care. But your mailing address is vital. And the country you live in, because I can't guess. If it's the United States, I can guess it. But other places, I can't. And if you do that, I will send you out some free Mark Order podcast stickers right here, the version 1 and version 2. As I said a couple of weeks ago, somebody hit us up for stickers, but they didn't give us their address. That's the vital piece of information. I can't send you stickers unless you give me your address. So I apologize. It's not me shrugging my duties. What?
And $5.99 for
No. Stop spreading fake news over there in Mar-a-Lago, Kate.
I have these classified documents, and they say Mark Order stickers are $5.99.
No.
Shipping. No?
No.
My bad. Take it up with the Secret Service then.
Try the FBI.
Try the FBI.
The
female body inspectors.
Oh, yeah. See what I did there? See what we did there?
See what picking up what we're putting down.
Why don't we talk about rankings real quick? The rankings look a little different this week.
Yes, rankings.
They look a little different in the men's division because there's one world champion, that is Jon Moxley. He's no longer interim champion. He is world champion Jon Moxley, TNT champion Wardlow, and the All Atlantic champion Pac. And our contenders are CM Punk. I don't know how. He just lost the fucking thing. Hangman Page. Powerhouse. Hobbs. Jay Lethal, I also don't understand because he continues to lose. And then Darby Allin, number 5. In the women's division, Thunder Rosa is our champion, but we know there will be an interim champion crowned Sunday at All Out. Our TBS champion is Jade Cargill. Number 1, Toni Storm. 2, Britt Baker. D. No? Thank you, Ryan. Athena. Hikaru Shida somehow jumping right into the rankings. And Jamie Hayter.
But I don't hate her.
I don't hate her anymore.
Hater. I don't even know her.
Oh, boy.
Boom.
And then in the tag team division, our champions, Swerve and Our Glory, our contenders, FTR, the Acclaimed, the Young Bucks.
They have arrived.
The Acclaimed has arrived, and everybody does love the Acclaimed. I can tell you that much.
Scissor me, daddy ass.
Boom. There it is.
The shirt that they won't make.
can't. You gonna make a shirt that says "Scissor Me"? No way.
I'm just saying, Bowens keeps putting online. He's like, I keep trying. They won't let me do it.
Sure. 3, the Young Bucks. 4, 10, and Evil Uno, and 5. They're now just being referred to as the Guns. No longer the Gun Club, just the Guns.
They should have been called Sons of Guns.
Well, I agree, but looks
Or
like
the
they're
Young Guns.
distancing now. They're distancing from Daddy Ass, so maybe that's why they're not the Sons of Guns. Maybe that's not why they're the Gun Club. They're just the Guns, as if they couldn't get more boring.
Pew, 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 pew.
So, guys, it was a card for Dynamite that was minimal. And that was a little concerning to me because we have a build to All Out. We still don't know what our world championship picture looks like before the night starts. I mean, even though you could see the fucking writing on the wall. And, you know, I just don't know. It just, to me, I was like, there's only 4 things scheduled, and then they added a match late, you know, the 4-way late.
Mhm.
So I was a little concerned, but this was a very entertaining go home Dynamite for me. You know, to the All Out pay-per-view. I don't know what you guys thought before we even talk about any of the wrestling. Did you guys feel the same way? Were you a little nervous about the announced card because there was nothing on it?
Yeah, I was nervous about the card, and I was nervous about like they haven't sold out. I'm assuming that's because they've run Chicago like 47 times, and they didn't announce CM Punk as the main event, which I think usually is what would do it there. So I was concerned about that, but this episode I thought was really entertaining, and it didn't feel overly go-homey. It felt go-homey in the way that, like, the matches weren't super long except for that last trios match, like things like that. But as far as like the pacing and the stories we were getting, it wasn't like, oh, look, another melee or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this felt not so, we're kind of, you know, go home's kind of phoning it in a way. So I'm glad that the stories felt strong going into it because there has been less of an emphasis on that, I feel like, in the past couple months. But I'm loving the way this is shaping up. I keep saying, like, this Ricky Starks and Hobbs, I think is going to be such a show stealer. I think that's going to be absolutely incredible. So I'm excited, but I too was nervous going into this episode of Dynamite and into All Out overall. But I also with All Out because it is more or less their WrestleMania. I assume some of it is going to be surprises.
Yeah. Well, we know we're getting at least one surprise at All Out in the ladder match.
Right.
You know,
interesting.
but I'm
It's
sure
me.
there will be some other stuff. What?
I'm the surprise.
Oh,
Well,
congratulations.
I bet you can check that one off the list because you just spoiled it, Ryan.
Yeah,
We're
thanks a lot.
talking to like tens of people.
And they said, but Ryan, you're not a pro wrestler. And I said, but I know how to climb a ladder.
Oh,
Okay.
they still booked you even though you admitted you can climb a ladder?
Yeah, it was a weird. Apparently, that's the struggle they have. They're like, every year we try to find people that can climb a ladder, and we keep messing up. And I said, I even sent a video of me going up and down a ladder.
You're like,
That's a good
I'm
call.
your guy.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't even tell my boss about it. Didn't give him the scoop. Thanks a lot. Could have gotten a pay raise.
Hey,
Fucking rude.
Tony Khan pays him enough.
this is where his bread is buttered. On the Mark Order podcast. He
That's
should
fair.
have
We
broke
should
it
be
on our
charging.
Twitter.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Come on.
We
Break
should have
that
put that
on.
behind our own paywall.
Oh boy. Anyway. Schlong, were you any concerns from you about the card before the night started?
No, because I figured this was gonna because it was go home. I was kind of like, they're gonna pull some shenanigans. That was my guess. And Mox coming out twice, the Punk promo, like they were the shenanigans I was expecting. Not like those specific ones, but knowing that they'd have them. So I
Finally,
just
Ryan has a positive take on here.
Seriously.
It's been a while.
Well,
So anyway,
we're going to run with Ryan's positivity. And hopefully he's positive about the way the show opens. We open, again, not directly with wrestling this week. We open up with Moxley making his way to the ring and onto the mic. The crowd seems very behind him for a Chicago crowd who saw CM Punk get blasted last week in Cleveland. And he says he knows Chicago loves their boy, but he thinks they're still mopping him up off the mat in Cleveland. And if you want to talk about it, he'll talk about it. He says he's heard CM Punk was a 60-minute man, and he had a 57, and he had 57, if I can get that out, minutes left in him. But did Punk? He doesn't think so. It's getting Kate very riled up. I can see it. When you get to the ring with Mox, he says he tests you and pushes you and finds out what you're really made of. And we found out CM Punk's best shots just weren't enough. And at the exact moment, he started looking for a way out. And he curled up into a ball and folded. And Punk didn't turn out to be what anyone wanted him to be when he was welcomed back to the business. And he's sorry for that. But he has zero sympathy for CM Punk. And that's because he's got a fragile ego, a fragile body, a weak mind, and a weak spirit. Oh, Kate is getting so riled up. It's a tough business, and Mox is sorry. It is what it is. You know, we'll move on. He has in his pocket an open contract for a title match at All Out on Sunday. It's signed by Mox already. He's just going to leave it in the ring because when he says anybody, anytime, he truly means it. And maybe it'll be somebody from New Japan. He runs that show too. And he asked Rocky Romero if he's got anybody left. But whoever it is, remember this. Before you step in the ring with Mox, he can out-marathon, out-sprint, out-fight, and out-wrestle you. He's not just the undisputed AEW World Champion. He's the fire-breathing, blood-spitting, living embodiment of the sport of pro wrestling. An indomitable will personified, and wrestling him may be hazardous to your health, so you've been warned. And he leaves the contract right in the middle of the ring. He leaves the ring, and Ace Steel rushes out to grab the contract before taking it to the back. That's when commentary hypes up the card for the rest of the night. So, Kate, we're going to go to you first because there's some pointed words at your boy, CM Pants. What'd you think about this? I know you're a CM Punk mark, but you're also a Mox fan. Your heart has to feel just like split in two here.
Livid.
I
was livid. And I would like to see Mox out sprint anyone. All right. I feel like there's faster guys, not only in the world, but in that locker room. No, this was really good. This was really, really good. I love this. I think, like, my only thing is, I don't know if we needed this detour with the title. Assuming Punk walks out champion at the end of this, I don't know if, like, the hot potato with the title is necessary for this storyline. Like, I don't know.
Also, Kate, that's also assuming CM Punk answers the call here, right?
That is. And there's also, here's how I fantasy booked it in my head. And I was going to wait till picks. But I think you have Punk turn heel and you have MJF return and cost Moxley because Moxley was MJF's one title shot and he lost. And I think there's a really fun story to be told with the only way that Punk could win is with the guy who beat him in Chicago. Like, that's such a blast. You have Punk turn heel. Wardlow has the TNT title, don't forget, too. So you can have a really fun kind of like mini two-man power trip situation. I think that could be an absolute blast. So that's what I fantasy booked in my head. I also think it's the only way you can turn Punk heel in Chicago. So if they're going to attempt to pull it off, I think you got to have it be with MJF. I don't think you're going to get Chicago to cheer against this guy otherwise. But assuming Punk wins and assuming Punk turns heel, I don't know if I've needed this pit stop. I don't hate it. They don't play hot potato with the title all the time. This is the first time they've done that. So it's not like it bothers me. It just feels like an unnecessary left turn that I think is meant to throw us off course of what's happening a little bit. So as far as the promo work, that I saw tonight. This was really polarizing for some people. But I loved everything we saw tonight. I thought this was great. I think Punk's segment later was awesome. But yeah, I thought this was really, really well done, and it kind of begged for the rematch too, because it's a quick turnaround to a rematch. They don't do a lot of immediate return shots either.
Agree with you there, Schlong. What'd you think?
Let me tell you how I fantasy booked it.
Okay.
My fantasy booking was that Mox does this open challenge, and the next thing we know, Punk's coming out. Punk doesn't seem like he's going to take it until Ace Steel comes out and convinces him to take it. That's how I was fantasy booking it. I know I went on a limb there, but I'm crazy like that. This was a great promo by Mox. I mean, I like that they're not trying to make Mox Mr. Good Guy. He's a dick. He thinks he's the best. He beats you up, but he's also not like, he's the best kind of dick. Where like, he's just very cocky, but he doesn't like,
long and skinny, the best kind of dick.
Short and stout.
Well, not if you're gay. Long and skinny.
So, but he doesn't go out. He doesn't like insult the fans. He's a face. He's kind of like Steve Austin. I'm not saying he's Stone Cold, but it was the same vein of face where it's like, I come out, I tell you I'm going to kick your ass, I kick your ass, I insult you about it, and then I keep going. And I really appreciated that. So I loved this promo. I love the open challenge thing, the open contract. I liked the Ace Steel coming out to grab it. Now I was actually kind of hoping they didn't do what they did later, because of that I just thought it was neat to be like, that's what happened with that contract. Someone from the back came and grabbed it.
Right. Well, I like the opener. Again, they don't do it all the time. They've done it over the past couple of weeks, but I think they're trying to do a strong short build to this, title. But I liked the way this opened up tonight because it was just so strong. And then obviously, we're left to guess like, hey, what's going on with CM Punk and the title shot and blah, blah, blah. I mean, again, we'll talk about it, but the writing was pretty much on the wall, of what was going down. So let's move on. We'll come back and revisit this a little bit later. Jericho's interviewed backstage, talks up his match against Danielson and All Out, says it's a dream match for most. But it'll be a nightmare for Danielson. Admits that Brian's question about who Stu Hart would think is better bothered him, and he spent a lot of time thinking about it. And Stu would like Danielson's technical ability. He'd appreciate it, but he'd weigh it against everything Jericho has done for the business and appreciate that even more. And that's when Garcia rolls up and apologizes for being ungrateful. He pledges his allegiance to the Jericho Appreciation Society. The fans do not love that. And he knows Jericho will beat Danielson without distractions or cheating. He believes in him. And Chris tells Garcia that he believes in him too. And until Sunday, all's fair and wrestling and romance, Danielson. Now, guys, I've never heard that one before, but apparently all's fair and wrestling and romance
is the next thing to happen. Jericho goes after Brie Bella. I can only
actually, this is a very, very interesting callback to Jericho's own career. When he first went over to Japan, he wrestled in a company called War, which was wrestling and romance.
Oh, is it really?
I read in his book.
Put that all
it was in his
together.
first book, yeah. It was the first company he did a tour with in Japan. It was called War. So it's like a really interesting little, if you read his book, because the only way you would know that.
Well, I never would have put that together, nor would I ever remembered the first company he wrestled for.
That is so specific.
Yeah.
The only reason it stuck out is because when he said it, I'm like, why does that sound familiar? And I just sat with it for a while. I'm like, that's where it came from.
Yeah, I bet you the only other person who would have known that would be millionaire Matt Bowman, and he would have consulted a printed almanac.
It's true. He loves his printed almanac.
And then he still gives you the wrong information. I don't know how that's possible.
It's impressive, actually.
Anybody want to comment on the Jericho Garcia thing?
It was good. I'm looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be very fun.
He did show out when he was the Lionheart against Moxley. So looking forward to seeing him again in a more technical match, hopefully.
I like that he said the heart comment bothered him, because that makes me feel like he has something to prove as a pro wrestler and not a sports entertainer. Like that was a good piece of promo work for this, I thought.
True. I sort of think like I liked how he said that Stu would weigh Danielson's technical ability against everything Jericho has done for the business and appreciate that more, because it still keeps it within a sports entertainment like realm for me. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I did everything for the business, and that's mostly sports entertainment.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
So anyway, after that, we move on to the American Dragon Bryan Danielson versus Kate's favorite wrestler, Jake Hager. And the Dragon is able to win by pinfall with the Busaiku knee. And then post-match 2.0 come running down to attack Danielson, but Claudio and Wheeler make the save. Claudio dumps Angelo Parker, takes him up the ramp. Yuta and Matt Menard brawl, I guess, back to, through the crowd to the back. And then Jericho starts to make his way from commentary with a chair to the ring. He gets on the apron, gets in the ring, and that's when Garcia comes up behind him and takes the chair. Jericho turns around and is arguing with Garcia, but when he turns back the other way, he is met with a Busaiku knee. Garcia looks really conflicted as Danielson smiles his way out of the ring, and we go to a break. So, guys, Daniel Garcia is saying he is still a sports entertainer, but I think is clearly still feeling twisted up about what's going on between his mentor and his idol. But I love this story that they're telling right now with Garcia. I think it's maybe the best story they're telling at the moment.
Yeah, it's this and Hobbs and Starks for me. But I love this, and I think Garcia is knocking it out of the park. That he reads to me as being sincerely conflicted, which is not always easy to pull off in like a pro wrestling capacity. Like a lot of times that gets very over the top, but he like feels very like he's kind of stuck, like he doesn't really know what to do, which I think is great. I think Danielson is also knocking the shit out of the park. Like it's such an underrated role in all of this because the story is more leaning Jericho Garcia, but like Danielson just like basically recruiting him by being a pro wrestler and doing it with like this little smirk the whole time, I think is super fun. This was far and away Jake Hager's best match, and I gotta tell you, I still just don't give a flying fuck about this dude in the slightest. Best match in AEW by a mile and a half.
Right.
Could not care less about this guy and his tiger stripe boxer shorts. Get the fuck out of here.
It's so funny because for a guy that makes such a big deal out of being like a perfect MMA record, he never wins any wrestling matches.
No, and it feels like Bryan Danielson could kick his ass.
Yeah, it really does. Schlong, what do you got about this whole Danielson, Garcia, Jericho love triangle thing, and also the match? What'd you think?
What's love got to do with it? What's love but secondhand emotion? No, I mean, I think Garcia is doing fantastic acting. I love every time they bring him in. I think his facial expressions sell the segment. I'm actually very excited for Jericho versus Danielson, which I didn't think I would be, but the way Jericho's talking, like kind of like Kate said, like the heart comment bothering him means that we're going to see the technical side of Jericho. And I think that's one thing. If Jericho had never had that feud with not Sammy, Paige Van Zandt and them, I think we'd feel a little differently towards him, but I think that spoiled people a lot with him because of the way he handled her. Because when he gets in the ring, he still delivers fun, entertaining matches, and his feuds do carry on too long, but I don't know if that's necessarily his fault. I mean, I'm actually very excited for this, and I'm curious to see, Mark Quill in the chat says looking like Garcia is faking it. I am curious to see are they going to pull that double twist of like, let Danielson think Garcia's on his side, and then Garcia betrays Danielson, which I'm okay with if that's the case. because there's a story there and we've been seeing it lead up. Or if they just have Garcia go full wrestler, I'm okay with that. Either of the I love when either outcome makes sense, and I like it. The only outcome that wouldn't make sense is Jericho winning clean, is Garcia turning pro wrestler and Jericho winning cleanly. That's the only outcome that doesn't make sense. So as long as they avoid that, I'm good.
Well, we'll see. This has potential to be a sleeper good match at All Out. Jericho tends to put on good big show matches, and Danielson's Danielson. So we'll see what happens Sunday. We return from the break, and this is definitely Kate's favorite moment of the night. The wingmen are in the ring complaining about not being booked with picket signs, and Pretty Peter Avalon is there. Kate, I believe what is it you want to I think you just
I want to fuck Peter Avalon.
Okay. All right. I was going to say I thought you just want to hug him.
No. It's not hug, marry, kill. It's fuck, marry, kill. And I hope it's long and skinny.
Whoa. All right. Pretty Peter Avalon says it's going to be Wingman Wednesdays or Wingmen Wednesdays from now on, but sorry, Kate, that's when W. Morrissey enters the picture. And he drops Caesar Bononi with a boot. Bononi, sorry.
Nope. It's Bonono now. Like bananas.
I thought we actually called him Bonono for a while.
You might have. I'm forgetting it if you did. Because unfortunately he hasn't been talked about for a while.
Caesar Bananas goes down with a boot. Pretty Peter Avalon and Nemeth get lariats. JD Drake gets slammed. And then Stoke makes his way to the ring while Morrissey keeps beating them up. Peter gets one last bright idea, but Morrissey lifts him as high as humanly possible and choke slams him. He actually he delays the choke slam. So it was pretty impressive. And then Stoke catches Morrissey's eye, gives him a business card, which Morrissey accepts, and they start to make their way to the back. Shivani thinks it's a great idea to stop them to ask Hathaway about the cards, but Stoke says it's none of his business. Well, unfortunately, Tony, being the journalist he is, points out that this is a TV show and it is our business. And that's when Hathaway loses his shit. Jake's him reiterating it's none of our business. And then that's also when Tony's like, okay, everybody relax. All right, easy. So
just let him do his job.
Poor guy. Listen, he went from working at a Starbucks to being back on television. Just answer the guy's questions, please.
Oh my God, all he's trying to do is his job.
Seriously. Guys, two questions here. W.M. Morrissey, I thought he was with Impact, unless that contract's up.
Contract's up. It's been up for a while now.
Contract's been up. Lexi Nair is his girlfriend, right? So
correct.
So I wonder if she likes him long and skinny, huh, Kate?
I don't think he's as long and skinny. I think it's likely.
No, if it's even remotely proportionate, that's going to be a lot to handle. Agent Joe bringing up a good point that we've never actually played FMK with just the wingmen.
Okay, Kate.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure we did because we would have taken your love of JD Drake.
Pretty Peter.
That's true, I think.
JD Drake and Ryan Nemeth.
I'm killing Nemeth.
I figured.
I'm gonna marry JD Drake.
Yeah,
and
he's a good
for
husband.
the sake of long-term storytelling, and for my heart, I'm going to fuck Peter Avalon.
I mean,
12404 is about I've never heard that said.
I'm sorry for those of you in the chat who this precedes, but I'm also not sorry.
No.
We could still try to get Pretty Peter Avalon and give some wingman makeover tips. Remember, we tried to do that once. It did make we can say it made its way to him.
Yeah, he had an interest in it.
Definitely.
Their PR team likes to stand in the way sometimes. But I want to know which of the wingmen you guys would FMK.
Me?
Yeah, both of you.
I guess I'll kill Nemeth. Same reason. Benoni makes it a little tougher. I think Benoni's like a sweetheart, and so he makes it a little tougher. But he's not in this one, so I'm gonna kill Nemeth. I actually think I'd go with you. I think I fuck Peter Avalon. I think he's probably good. And
He's
I
got
think
that
JD.
heart-shaped bed.
Yeah, I think JD Drake and I make a very cute bear couple.
You do. You do. That's
So
really
I'm going with that.
I'm going completely different. I feel like that's a cop out for Ryan. I'm going to.
I like how seriously this is being taken.
I'm going to marry Ryan Nemeth because I want to live that Hollywood. I want to live that Hollywood lifestyle.
Respect. I respect that.
I'm going to fuck JD Drake because it's going to be fast. It's going to be fast and it's going to be lackluster.
There's a problem here, though. JD Drake fucks you.
Well, that's fine, but it's going to be quick and it's going to be over. That's just the vibe I get from JD Drake.
Okay.
Which means I'm going to kill Pretty Peter Avalon.
I'll kill you. I'll kill you right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to kill you too. But
Do
you know JD Drake's also on a team called the Workhorsemen, meaning he puts in his work. I don't think that's a quick man.
After a long day of working in the wrestling ring, he won't have enough
works
energy.
in the bed.
No, his legs will be jello.
This is the most important conversation we've ever had on here because now I know that Ant is a traitor.
Yeah, really. You lost us there, Ant.
He's gonna murder my lover.
Well, unlike some people, I like to come up with my own narrative. I like to control the narrative.
Oh God.
No, that's a sin.
It is. By the way, did you see the rumors that what's his face there might be going back to the E?
I hope so he doesn't go anywhere else.
Oh,
so
God.
I don't usually do this, but these are my text messages to Kate during this segment, and I usually use literally ecstatic. The wingmen are on. Then Morrissey comes out, less ecstatic. Then Stoke comes out, ecstatic again.
But seriously, so before we got all sidetracked, okay, so Morrissey's that answers one of my questions because I was too lazy to look it up. So his contract is up. That makes sense. But what is going on with Stoke and all these fucking people with the business cards? Again, normally the factions in like AEW are like 4 or 5 people. It seems like he's giving cards out to like 20 guys.
See, that's what I love, though. I actually think this is great that Stoke is not going to have a faction. He's going to have a fucking army that's like Stoke Corporation, and they don't all have to defend each other. They don't even have to be tied up with each other. He just is literally out at every match representing someone.
I just don't know. Sorry, I was going to say, I just don't know how any of them fit together. No, you're fine, Kate. Sorry, I just started to talk over you, and then I didn't give up. But go ahead. Oh, now she is frozen.
With a look. See what happens when you say you're going to kill Peter Avalon? You kill her internet. Asian Joe has a point, by the way.
Go ahead.
He's saying Stoke is just building the ROH roster. I'm like, you know what? That might actually be true. Which would be that would be the thing if he came out and he's like, oh, by the way, I'm the GM for ROH and I've just been bringing everyone to ROH.
That is an interesting take. I never even actually gave that a thought. That is an interesting take on what Stoke could be doing. I'd be a little concerned because he hasn't been talking to any women for the women's division, but
the only thing is we don't know who, but we haven't seen it, but he's got to be careful because he's got Jade and she's very she would get very mad. So he could be doing that on the down low, on the sly. We don't know who he's talked to. By the way, I know this is news and notes, but I just have to say, did you see our girl Willow got some merch?
I mean, I didn't have it in news and notes, so no, I did not see it.
Willow Nightingale has a shirt on AEW.
Oh,
so she may not have gotten the graphic, but she's got the merch.
That's right.
Give her the fucking graphic.
Give it to her.
So Stokely on social media had there were 5 slots or whatever, and Morrissey would be the 5th one. And then today he tweeted after the segment, working obviously, but he was like, "All out ? I'm out," and then he deleted his Twitter account. So I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Wait, who did that?
Stokely did. So
He deleted his Twitter account?
He deactivated. He goes all out ? I'm out, and then deactivated.
Weird.
Fucking love it. Stoke is such a good worker.
He's such a good. He uses social really, 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 really well.
I would like to believe our people just really got to him about not signing Sonny and losing Sonny to the fucking.
It's probably true.
You know, whoever the trust fund babies.
Listen, they've added Jeeves SK, and I'm okay with it.
Okay.
No, fuck that.
I will fight you both.
Love VSK. Don't need him as their weird ass butler. I have no interest in Morrissey at all, but he looks great. And there's a segment of wrestling fans that very much like a guy like Morrissey. It's just not for me. He wouldn't even disrupt my FMK, to be honest. Like, I don't need him.
Mine need. He's one of those guys that, like, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I feel any differently than Kate does. He just doesn't do much for me. But I get why you would sign him. Like, he fits both roles to me. Like, because he's a big dude and he can wrestle. So, like, I get that if you're trying to appeal to some audiences, he hits that. For me personally, not on what I like, just not interesting to me. But I can at least understand the justification behind it.
Now you just sign Enzo and let him run wild over the tag division.
He's had some problems that I don't think they're like.
No, I don't want to be honest. I don't want either of them.
I'm like sincerely at the point, like, okay, I don't think AEW can be in talent hoarding mode because their talent's allowed to work elsewhere, right? So that's not talent hoarding. It can never be. But this roster's too fucking big. So ROH either desperately needs TV or they got to figure something else out. Because the fact that like Ethan Page hasn't been on my TV since that Stokely segment, I'm sure there's creative behind that idea. But like Ethan Page should feel like a viable, important part of this company.
Yeah. See, actually, Ethan Page is the only part that throws Asian Joe's theory out the water. Ethan Page would not be on ROH. Ethan Page is an AEW wrestler.
Yeah.
But so is Claudio Castagnoli. You know what I mean?
No. Asian Joe's comment was that Stoke is just building the ROH roster, which we thought was pretty interesting. Like he ends up being like the GM of ROH and just has all the people.
That would be awesome. But like my point is that Ethan Page could float. Like Samoa Joe's gonna float, right?
That's true. That's very true. I just feel like I don't know. I'd want to see him do more in AEW before he floated down. Like Samoa Joe and Claudio both already have titles. So when they float, you're like, okay, I get it. And they're a little more, I mean, that's fine. And now we have the bigger question. Kate, FMK, WM Morrissey, Jake Hager, Parker Boudreaux.
I F Morrissey and I kill myself before marrying the other two.
So I'm going to go with IF Morrissey. I think that man's packing.
God, you were so anxious to do this. You were like, hurry up and get through
I am a size queen. I kill Parker. I think I marry Jake. I think Jake's probably an okay husband. He takes care of Jericho.
I'll tell you this
much.
He's
got some views that I'm not lining up.
Does he actually have those or were they just character? I wasn't sure. Oh, never mind. He's getting.
I was going to say this much. He's a cuck, if anything, because remember when his wife was like, only winners come home in this house, and then like all the videos were not him in the house.
Yeah,
at least you'd be able to relay that.
Entered the house.
That's right.
Believe it or not, I forgot that. Maybe it was so bad it's out of my brain.
No, that was during the pandemic.
Just before you joined the podcast, I think too.
Was it
during the demi?
I think so.
It was during the pandemic, and then they were doing like were they doing the thing, Kate, where they were doing the inner circle bunch where they had the 4 or 5 boxes on the screen?
Bubbly bunch. Yeah.
The bubbly bunch. Sorry, that was it. And they were doing something, but when they sent it back to Jake, because he had lost his match, his wife said something at some point in the build up to the match was like, only winners come home to this house. So like every video, if they didn't plan it, then they, it was just a good happenstance. every video, Ryan, of him afterward was him outside of the house. It wasn't him inside. It was like doing push-ups on the front stoop, or like,
oh, that's intentional.
you know,
Damn,
like
I
cleaning the
forget that.
garage or something like that. It was really funny.
I guess if I don't like things, that just goes out of my brain.
It was pretty funny. Fuck, what were we talking about? Okay, so we're past WM Morrissey. So let's move on, Schlong. We did get an interview backstage with United Empire, and Will Ospreay says something about getting his hands on Kenny Omega, but that's when Don Callis starts to roll up, and Don puts over Ospreay, saying people say he's the next Omega, but Don thinks that he's actually his own man. He said, this popped me, Schlong. Don Callis said, I think you're your own man. I think you're Will by God Ospreay. And he says that this match is going to be the most exciting one for him since the last time Will and Kenny wrestled in a tag team match. And Don playing a little psychological warfare also threw in. You got One Winged Angel that night, but hopefully this one turns out different. All right, you know. And then Ospreay shoos them off, and him and his team go back to prepping. So Schlong, they're just building to this match, but having Don Callis back makes you realize how fucking good he is in this role with Kenny Omega.
I say this as a full compliment, and this is because I fucking hate him. And I say that fully complimentary of like, I don't actually obviously hate the man. I fucking hate him when he's on my screen, but not like go, like, I don't believe, like, it's not like that, like,
it's not go away,
right? Yeah, I don't want to change my channel. I just fucking hate it. I want him to get his comeuppance at some point. I want at some point in time, Kenny Omega to turn around when Kenny turns face and just punch him in the mouth. Like, that's what I want. But he's so fucking good at this. And you're right, the by God, William, by God. I was like, oh, you fucking Jesus Christ.
It was so funny.
And then when Ospreay's like, get out, and even before Ospreay told Marvez to leave, even before Callis is like to Marvez, let's go.
Right. Yeah, he's like, so you too, let's go.
So good.
So funny.
But yeah, that was a very fun segment. Callis is so good at, he said he's good at making you hate him, which is what I think Kenny needed, that because Kenny's not hateable.
Yeah, and we're at the point too, I think, where it's great to have Kenny with a mouthpiece, right? Because he's still not like necessarily 100%. So having Don make that trip, you know, and kind of playing psychological warfare was a lot of fun. Kate, you had stepped away momentarily,
but someone to 69 him.
That's true. Kate, I was just going to say you stepped away, but I said my favorite part of this whole thing with Don Callis in the locker room with Ospreay was him saying, I think you're your own man. I say you're Will by God Ospreay. That got me really good.
That's a good one.
Got me really good. So they're just building to the match tonight. I thought it was a nice little interview segment backstage. Guys, another surprising moment. Shida and Tony Storm faced Team DMD. It was before 9:00, I think. I think it was right at
8:37.
Was it 8:30? I thought it was actually a little bit later than that. My God.
8:37. I looked at my phone and saw 8:37. I was like, are you I was in shock.
What?
Wow.
Actually, I'm going to give him credit. Kate's buddy, well, she's going to roll her eyes when I say it's a buddy. Joel Pearl had the best joke. And he said, Tony messed up. Chicago's 1 hour behind us, not ahead of us.
It's true. It shouldn't feel jarring to see that.
It was jarring because I thought, again, oh my God, I just blacked out and I'm waking back up. Yeah. And I'm going to be late.
Yeah.
Either way, Shida and Tony Storm do win by pinfall. Did I even say? Oh yeah, I did say who the teams were. Sorry. I'm still so flustered that this went on at 8:30 at night.
I know.
Shida and Tony Storm win by pinfall with the katana from Shida on Jamie Hayter. I had no idea that move was called the katana. mainly because I haven't seen Sheeta on television for, I don't know, 20 years. So yeah, this was a little preview before we get to the 4-way match on Sunday. So all of these women are going to be in a 4-way match Sunday for the interim women's championship. I don't know, guys. This match was totally fine, but again, I'm just, like, I'm at this point where I'm like, Sheeta, really? Like, she just comes back and now she's getting a win over Britt Baker. Like, what's going on?
I mean, she kind of should, but they haven't had her on TV enough to feel important. Like, she's a better wrestler than Britt, like in ring acumen wise, and she was the most dominant champion they've had, right? But to your point, it's like she just kind of showed up and won again. I think what this hopefully means, though, is that Toni Storm will win the interim, is my hope.
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall there too, right? I think that because that was supposed to be the match we were getting, Toni versus Thunder Rosa. Now that we're not getting it, we're just going to give Toni Storm the interim title, and then when Thunder Rosa is able to come back, we'll get the match that we were supposed to get tonight.
Yeah, and as we've seen, interim titles don't mean wait till the champ comes back. The interim title holder just beat the real champ. So
right. But I mean, what do you think of the match here, Kate? Let's go to you first. What do you think of the match?
I thought it was pretty good. I am a little nervous because of the way it went that Britt would win, but I don't think that's stupid. I think hopefully we get Hayter turning on Britt or Britt turning on Hayter at some point. But I'm glad to see a pretty good match go on before 9:30. I'm glad to see 4 women on my screen. That's always encouraging. And 4 champions, so that's good. Like, I think that's, or 3 champions, I guess, but like one that's around the corner. Yeah,
right. It was sort of refreshing too to see somebody not named Jamie Hayter take the loss here, right?
Yes, very much so. I think that's part of why they did it.
And commentary also made mention that this was a win back for the loss that she had against Britt Baker on whatever date that they last, I guess, wrestled. So I guess that's sort of them pushing that too, right? Like, hey,
they at least tried.
She finally got a receipt,
Yeah.
But Schlong, what'd you think of this? Anything you want to add here?
Anything I want to add? No, I mean, I agree with you guys. It was nice to see, like, I mean, this is the top of their division right now, excluding, maybe Jade and Athena. So it was nice to see what they have, but just kind of annoys me that this is the top of their division and only one of them really has a story. But I can't wait for Jamie to turn on Britt, and not in like not a bad way. I just think that's going to be a fun, if they do it right, which for the women is hit or miss.
Big question
but if they do it right, that's a fun fucking story to have Jamie. Like, I think it's got to come down to Britt is going to, I think Jamie's going to be about to win and Britt cost Jamie. And then I think Britt's about to win and Jamie costs Britt. And I think they start fighting each other hardcore in that match. And then you have Toni Storm come in and win it. But that's, sorry, our chat, someone came in as Dustin Rhodes. Hello, don't ask why I look like that. Just confused. It literally stopped me dead. But yeah, that's that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that just to me is the fun story, because I've been waiting for Jamie to turn on Britt for a while now, because they've kind of keep very slowly introducing the little bits of like Jamie's not all on board.
Yeah, I mean, this the blow up's coming, right? So like we know that it's happening at some point. It's just going to be a matter of how we get here, right? So, I mean, listen, I never like when they do this sort of like, hey, these are the people who are going to wrestle in the big match on Sunday, but we're going to put them in a tag team together. I never really like that stuff, and I was expecting maybe to get some, like of dissension between the teams, right? Like maybe Jamie and Britt would sort of get to the point where they were like, sort of going to turn on each other. Same thing with Sheeta and Toni Storm, but nothing ever really broke down like that. So it is what it is. I mean, you got women's wrestling right after 8:30, so be happy about that, people.
Yeah, I take the wins when we're getting them.
That's right. Back from commercial, we get a video package about, or I'm sorry, before we go to commercial, we get a video package about Kip Sabian, interfering with Pac. And they do announce that we're going to get a all-Atlantic title shot, Kip Sabian versus Pac, and that's going to happen in the pre-show hour for All Out. So that should be a lot of fun. They do go to commercial break, and then when they get back, we get a video package about Miro and Darby Allin and Sting sort of being aligned against the House of Black. And they throw down the challenge, which looks like it got accepted. We're going to get the House of Black versus Miro, Sting, and Darby in a trios for All Out. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, you guys mentioned it before. I'm not in love with this story. This doesn't do anything for me.
I'm in love with Miro versus. Is Kate frozen again? Yep,
Maybe.
she's held that pause way too long. I'm in love with Miro versus House of Black. I'm not in love with throwing Sting and Darby into Miro versus House of Black. I don't think that's the interesting story. The interesting story is Miro going on a rampage. Starts with Buddy Matthews. Then he gets to Brody King. Then he gets to, finally gets to Aleister Black, like Malachi Black. And like, that's the fun story. The only interesting thing about this whole thing, and I will say, is I'm going to take her off because I feel bad. The only interesting thing throughout this whole part that I will say is Darby saying to Black, Brody King didn't need you to beat me.
Oh, right.
I love that they're throwing in that little bit of dissension between them of like, these guys do better without you. When are they going to realize it? But otherwise, I hate that Sting and Darby in this. That's not the fun story.
Yeah, Kate, any notes you want to add on the match they're giving us with the House of Black versus Miro, Sting, and Darby?
No, I just don't think we need another trios match, and I'm way more interested in seeing Miro versus all of the House of Black. And I'm kind of over Sting and Darby. Like, they've got to either do something different or they have to have Darby turn on Sting, because this is starting to wear out.
Yeah, I think Darby as a heel would be fucking amazing.
I'm at least intrigued. Yeah, I think it would be really good. And I would like to see them at least try.
Take his sadistic tendencies, and now he's doing it as a heel.
Yeah.
That's an interesting character.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see it. I'd take a look at a heel Darby. I like it.
We gotta do something.
Well, we're gonna do something. We're gonna talk about CM Punk making his entrance to the ring. He looks a little sullen, but he seems to be walking okay. He says he broke his foot on June 1st. That would have been bad enough, but then he wrestled an entire match on it. And a surgeon says he pulverized the bones in his foot. Accidents happen. So on June 8th, he had surgery, 3 plates, 16 screws put in his foot, which is 16 more times the fat guy in the crowd has ever been screwed in his life. I don't know what that guy was saying, by the way.
He must have been heckling hard.
Yeah.
Because there was like a section of the crowd that cheered too. So that guy must have been being a piece of shit.
And it must have been to more than just Punk. It must have been like all night.
All night, I think. Yeah. Because he knew exactly where he was.
Yeah, and pointed him straight out.
Yeah.
So Punk does admit, I probably shouldn't have said that. But he should have done lots of things in his career. Coming back too soon from a serious injury is one of those. And last week he got beat up in Cleveland and had to drive home with his thoughts. He says it's okay. It's not his first time he's been beat up in Cleveland, but something about this didn't sit well with him. Is his foot 100%? Yes, he was cleared. X-rays looked great. The problem is that it's a new 100%, and he doesn't know if it's good enough. He sort of trails off and seems distraught before continuing, saying that he came back a year ago because he loves the business and he knows it doesn't love him back. But he also came back because he loves the fans. And we do like him back. And that's why it hurts to feel like he let us down. He couldn't walk his dog for 2 months, and it hurt because he let him down and rushed back to perform for us, the fans. And he sees his little sister in the front row, and he feels like, he let her down too. He starts to trail off a little bit with what he's saying before saying maybe love isn't enough anymore, but that's when Ace Steel enters. And he asks what it is because this isn't what they talked about in the back. He says he doesn't know what happened between there and here, but it isn't him. He apologized for interrupting the promo and introduced him to the as the man who actually trained Punk. And since the first day he walked into the Steel Domain, he fought through everything to get to where he is. He's proud of what he's accomplished in his career, but more proud of what Punk has done. They're not just friends, they're families, and you don't let family down. And he doesn't let Chicago down. And he filled an arena based on a rumor that he'd come back to wrestling after 7 years, and he's not letting go now. And he went out to Cleveland with his balls in his heart and got beat. With his balls and his heart, and he got beat. But it's about how many times you get back up. It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up. And that's what he slaps Punk in the face and says he's going to fight Sunday, and he's going to sign this contract for all the people. He's going to fight Jon Moxley, and if Punk forgets who he was, Chicago will let him know. He hugs Steel and gets back on the mic. He says he was born lonely with a cord wrapped around his neck, and they've been trying to kill him since the day he was born. That's pretty bold. And they ain't found a man who could do it yet.
Chicago,
and Jon
man, you never
Moxley
know.
Isn't him. Well, it's Chirac, that's for sure.
Some parts of that city.
Yeah, Chirac.
That's right.
He says Moxley isn't him. He goes through the crowd. Says that Mox is a wild thing, but he's not wild enough, and that this is Chicago where the weak are killed and eaten. He says they're different kinds, but they have the same heartbeat, one pulse running through the streets of Chicago. They are the arteries, and he'll pump the blood until the blood stops pumping it all out. Moxley can't break his bones, can't drink his blood because he's in Chicago. He signs the contract, and it becomes official. So it's official. We're going with the match that we were going to have it all out. CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. Again, I think the writing was on the wall here, guys, but we're going to go to you first, Kate, because you're the CM.
Before we cover this,
okay,
I just have to say this made me laugh pretty hard. Pedro in the chat going, I didn't like that Sting and Darby were able to find Miro's promo location. That just made me laugh. That like he's supposed to have a secret location, and then somehow they get there.
Oh boy,
it's a very good point. His
and it
location services must have been on. Whatever.
That's very true. And it looks like Roy is saying that perhaps it was a Colt Cabana chant that got CM Punk riled up, or other people riled up. That would be hilarious.
That would be, but I don't think he would want to call attention to it.
No, I also agree with that.
Yeah, and I think that's the first thing people are going to say it is, whether it is or not. This was very polarizing. Some people didn't like this at all. Some people loved it, and I really liked it, and I think I'll love it if he turns heel either at the pay-per-view or Wednesday after. He's been leaning heel. He's not going to be heel in Chicago. I like that people aren't heels in their hometown. MJF was a face when we went to Long Island. It was blast. Like, that's fine. And I thought this had some real heart to it. I think playing off of the idea that when you're injured, you probably are thinking about hanging it up, or even when you're healed, you're not yourself, I think is a really sincere piece of promo work. Him saying he couldn't walk Larry is underrated heartbreaking here. And I loved what Ace Steel said. That was like his boy. If you go back on CM Punk's live journal, which I have many a time because it's a very entertaining read, he is a big piece of it. And legit coached him and trained him. It reminded me of when he brought Heyman back in his WWE run. Like, this felt like he was bringing back a guy from his past, right? So I love this. I think he's for sure turning heel on Sunday, but I thought this was super, super fun. I felt like this promo was for Chicago and not for me at home, probably, and that the heel turn that I think is coming is going to be for me.
Schlong, any problems with this promo from CM Punk? Did you like this?
So, couple things. One, Kate, you'll know this because you're just admitted you are the markiest of marks. Ace Steel, when Punk was trained by him, Punk started out as a heel, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
So,
I think
an Ace Steel would have been
at
his
least
first.
for the majority. The
So,
majority
like,
of his
my point-
indie run, he was, yeah.
Yeah, so the point being is Ace Steel's connection to Punk is when Punk was an arrogant jerk. So,
Correct.
like, if you're gonna use someone to bring him back, that's the version of Punk he would bring back. So I kind of like there's a little tie. If they go that route, there's a tie there. I kind of went on. Kate called this polarizing. That was kind of me throughout the entire thing. Like parts of me were like, I love this. Parts of me were like, I don't understand this at all. If he turns heel, I'm perfectly okay that this was like a detour. That like this because maybe they were too worried that everyone saw it coming. So they decided to make a quick left, let us believe that he's not, only to come back right again and be like, ha, fucked with you all. So that's the route they should go. If he's face, I don't get any of this. The one outcome that I will flat out say now, you can call me a hypocrite if I end up saying I like it, would be him winning clean as a face. I will not understand if that happens. If he wins because he cheats, I get it. It's a weird, they don't usually do it that way, but at least I can accept it. If he loses and then snaps, I get it. The only thing I will not be okay with is if he wins. And I'm not just saying that night. Like I'll give them to Dynamite the Wednesday to define him as what happens on that run. But if he wins, clean face, that comes out the next Wednesday, I love you guys love me, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck did we just do? Why did we even have that?
I feel like that would also cut the legs out from Max because there's something really special about him being the guy that beat Punk in Chicago, and they're gonna go back to that story at some point. So if Jon Moxley also beats him in Chicago, I feel like that just like delineates how special that moment was. But I'm a mark, so
no, I agree. But and you can make this work if Mox beat Punk was unsure about his foot, and I'm glad that he came out and was like, my foot's 100% fine. I just don't know it yet, because that's a real thing to not know how something new feels. But you can have Punk come back and cheat and be like, okay, I get why they did this, because now all of a sudden you needed Punk to take the loss to him to not know that to feel like he couldn't do it and to feel disrespected by the fans. And now he does it. If you have him win and he's just face, it's like you said, Kate, ruins the future story with MJF. I mean, not ruins that, because if he loses it and he's face, it doesn't make any sense. If he wins and he's face, it's just like, okay, but why did we need the detour? He didn't need that redemption story.
Agreed.
Of like, I'm getting past my injury.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said, Ryan. Honestly, it's until we see how things shake out Sunday, I don't understand why they did what they decided to do. It doesn't make sense to have the detour with the title, him lose the title just to win it back, unless you want him now to be a 2-time champion, right? So who knows? We'll see how it plays out, but I thought it was overall a pretty good promo. Did seem like it had a definitive point in the middle where it just sort of switched on a dime, where he started talking about how he was a baby with a cord around his neck. It seemed like there was quite a definitive line between the first part and the second part. I wish they sort of just smoothed it out a little bit. It was
That's
sort
what
of
Ace Steel will do to
switch.
you, baby.
That's true, I guess. Guys, after this, we go to sit down with Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, and Christian Cage. They agreed no physicality. And Cage says that JR signed into his first contract with the business. He knows he's a professional. Jungle Boy Jungle Boy is going to step into the ring and get destroyed, turn into a has-been at 25, and that Perry says Jack Perry says he'd love to say he hates Christian, but it's more complicated than that. And we're talking about their relationship and stuff like that, and how, you know, maybe he feels like you're part of the family. But Christian says that he's here to make money and win championships. That is it. And Jack says his father taught him to be a man. And on Sunday, he's not going to be wrestling Jungle Boy. He's going to be fighting Jack Perry.
I wish he had said Jungle Man.
Jungle
I
Man.
would.
I thought the same thing. I'd be like, this is it. This is the big moment. Never happened.
He says you'll be wrestling Jungle Man, and then you just see Anna walk out behind him.
Yeah. All right. Anybody have anything they want to add to that? It's okay if we don't. We'll keep pushing ahead. We have Ren Jones, Silas Young, and Ice Pick Vic Capri versus the Pinnacle. That's Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, and Wardlow. Sanjay Dutt is scouting backstage. The Pinnacle win by pinfall with the Powerbomb Symphony from Wardlow on Vic Capri. Nice seeing Silas on TV, though, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he just got punched, but yeah, very nice to see him on television.
One punch. All right, let's see. Go to commercial. When they come back, Mox is making his way to the ring again, and he gets the mic from Justin Roberts. He says that if that's what your boy wants, that's what he's gonna get. And if CM Punk wants to go out on his shield in front of his hometown fans, he owes him that much. So it'll be Punk Moxley one more time Sunday at All Out. And if Punk thinks he's got one more miracle left in him, he'd better find it fast. Because the minute the bell rings, he'll be trying to take his damn head off, and he's going to put it on a show of brutality and glorious pro wrestling violence from that the CM Punk fans have ever experienced, and he'll show the world the difference between a fake messiah and a real champion. Interesting. Anybody want to add anything here about the Mox?
I think that miracle is Maxwell Jacob Freeman. And also one thing that we didn't mention in the Punk promo that I liked was saying that he's lost in Cleveland before was a great shout to his UFC loss.
Yeah, that's actually a really small detail, but that was funny.
I missed it. That was a good one. That was a good reference, though.
Well, self-zinger.
It was. Let's see. Shivani's back interviewing the Dark Order. Unfortunately, 10, his knee is injured, and that's why Evil Uno will be taking his spot in the Trios tournament on Friday. But Andrade rolls up to give Uno a wad of cash and say he's thinking of giving Vance a contract to work with him and take that mask off. But Uno says he and Vance are the Dark Order forever, so they can't take the money and cheap cologne. And that's when Andrade blindsides him, and the stun gun comes out so that 10 doesn't get involved in the save here. So it looks like we've got a problem here. There's still nobody who's going to be able to join the Dark Order.
So I have one issue with this whole thing, and it's a very minor issue, and it's not an AEW specific thing. This is pro wrestling everywhere. Is that assault was not that bad compared to what we see them just go through in a regular match?
Very true. Very true.
This is now my new favorite Kate Freeze face.
Oh, she's frozen? I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
I thought she was actually still alive.
Yeah, she looks like she's just judging us, so it's my favorite so far. Oh, and
she's
back.
there. She moved.
No, she's
Kate,
back.
you still there? Nope. Anywho, Schlong, let's move on. We get to the 4-way match they announced late tonight. It's Dante Martin versus Ray Phoenix versus Roosh versus Wheeler Yuta. All these men will be in the casino ladder match. So this match had a little bit of everything. Yuta wins by pinfall with the seatbelt pin on Dante Martin. But man, I mean, I thought this match was super entertaining. Lots of action, a lot of stuff happening. Kate, what did you think of the match? Any problems with this?
Oh, and I loved it. It didn't have CM Punk, which hurt my feelings a little bit, but overall it was quite good.
She looks like she's
It
moving
was.
now.
I'm back. Suck my dick.
Okay, what'd you
My
think of the
long,
four-way
skinny
match?
dick, Ryan.
Oh boy.
This felt very not go homey. Like, this match was really, really fun. I really liked this. And I love young Wheeler. And I love William Regal just continuing to flirt with Excalibur. It makes my heart sing.
Yeah, really funny. Schlong, anything stand out here you want to talk about from the match?
I think this was William Regal's most overt flirting. But yeah, no, the ending was awesome. The way Wheeler went about the pin was cool. But I'm glad Wheeler won. He deserved it. And I actually thought we were going to see Stoke walk out again for Dante, because Dante's reaction to losing was kind of like, what the hell? So,
right.
Very good match.
Let's see. All right. So we know that that no Evil Uno is available. 10 isn't cleared to wrestle in the trio. So Shivani's interviewing Reynolds and Silver backstage. They say that this is the biggest opportunity they've had, and it means they have to take on 3 guys themselves. Then so be it. So
I've said that so much. What?
Oh, all right. So Hangman
You and me
rolls
both,
up.
sister.
Hangman rolls up and says that he wanted this to be their chance to shine, but if 10 can't do it and Uno can't do it, then he's there. He's the guy. So so it becomes official that Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order are going, the Dark Order, Silver and Reynolds.
The Mark Order?
Well, yes, they should be.
Oh, we're booked. Yeah.
We're totally booked
for
this
trio.
pay-per-view. So it's going to be Hangman and the Dark Order versus OC and the Best Friends Friday for the final spot in the Trios Tournament title match. So guys, I think we always thought this was going to be the case, right?
Yeah, this was the logical story. It's the best story of, Hangman now once again torn between the Elite and the Dark Order. Not even of his making. He's just being a good friend. I will forever wish, though, that to me, the story in my heart was Stu Grayson coming back and making the save.
Ain't happening, buddy.
I know.
But this will be great, and I'm interested to see what they do with Kenny with this. Like, is it just going to be Adam Page always beating him for titles? Is like a really fun story that they could play out here. So,
well, we'll find out Friday night. They got to get through the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy first before they get to the tournament final on Sunday. But it is now time for the main event. And we go to the Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson versus United Empire. That's Kyle Fletcher, Mark Dunkzilla Davis, and Will Ospreay. This is for who will go to the final match in Chicago at the pay-per-view. So there are implications here. So guys, let's cut to the end here. They kept making it very important, like we're going to stay here until this match is over and everything's resolved and blah blah blah. But I don't think you need anybody to sort of build the importance here. This felt like a big match on TV, right? Like the fact that you were getting Ospreay and Omega on free TV was pretty huge, and they led this match off. This match really had everything I think you needed. And when we boil down to the finish here, the Elite wind up winning by pinfall, the one-winged angel from Omega on Kyle Fletcher. And after the match, Ospreay sits sullen and sunken on the ramp deck, while the Elite celebrate, making the finals. And that's basically it. So, guys, some cool things that I thought happened during this match. They ripped off Kenny Omega's shirt his compression shirt, and we're starting to work over his ribs that were taped up and stuff like that. So I think that's an interesting point. And the trainer's also saying, that took a lot out of Omega. He's got to get right to the trainers, right? And Don was like, "Yep, we're going to the training room. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later, whatever." So I just love the way this is all working out. And if this goes the way we think it is, it'll probably be them in the Dark Order in the final on Sunday at the pay-per-view. But Schlong, what'd you think of the match here?
So Rob Humphries has it best. Kenny's intro was the funniest thing of the whole night. Has donated to more charities than Will Ospreay.
Has better hair.
Oh yeah.
So good. This match was a banger. My God, these two teams really went out, and I know some people were like, I hope Omega and Ospreay don't touch. It's like, no, I want them to, and I'm glad they went right at it. Kenny is doing great storytelling, and people, Kenny doesn't tell stories. This entire run back, the 2 matches, but this entire time back has been 2 stories. The compression shirt, the stuff that he's wearing, the way he wrestles. He's a little sloppier. He's a little whatever. And it's all intentional. So he's been fantastic. The match is fantastic. They actually sold me a couple of times that even though I know the story, even though I'm the big believer in what the story is, a couple of times I'm like, are they really going to do the twist of United Empire winning this? And then because I could see a story where Hangman beats United Empire, and he's got like there's a story there. So apparently they cut the Jason Edelman's telling us if we didn't know they beat the shit out of Kenny and the Young Bucks after the match while Kenny was cutting a promo for the crowd. Oh, interesting. After
yeah, they'll probably put it on their YouTube like later or tomorrow.
Yeah, I like that they do that. Why not? It makes it fun.
Yeah.
I love when the companies do that. But yeah, it was a really good match. I mean, there was when Ospreay hit the 450, whatever he hit into the driver, or whatever he hit, and it helped out. Jesus Christ, the whole thing was so good.
Yeah, he's an incredible athlete. He just even Ryan, when Kenny went to hit the Snapdragon suplex on him and he landed a backflip.
How do you do that?
Just so he's sick. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, Schlong.
No, you're right. I just don't know how you do the moves you do. I don't know, but I also like the way that this did feel like it could go to either team, and I would have been okay with it. Obviously, I like the Elite Dark Order story more, but it's a tournament done well can have a couple different outcomes and all of them work. And this tournament could have a couple different outcomes and all of them would have worked.
Yeah, this match was like a whole mess of fun. Rob, I see what you're saying in the chat, and I'm pretty sure A, it wasn't him, and B, a lot of that was debunked. There was a rumor that that Ospreay had gotten someone blacklisted from the venue for coming forward about sexual assault, and it was the venue that blacklisted and not him, from my understanding. Speaking out, felt like everybody was a sex pest, so there might have been more stuff. But all that to say, this match was fantastic. I got sold the ticket a couple times too, because there's a really fun story of Ospreay and Omega coming out of that. That could have been very, very fun, but I'm glad they stuck with what they did. It wasn't like the most psychologically sound match, and I don't give a shit. It was a blast. It was so much fun. I loved all the spots that you called out. That Snapdragon situation was ridiculous. But I thought this was really fun. And anybody who says that Kenny Omega doesn't tell stories in the ring is just literally just wanting to shit on Kenny Omega. He was always telling stories in the ring. So I like people just love to hate on people for no reason. So
he's Kenny by God Omega.
He's Kenny by God
Omega.
Omega.
But that was Will by God Ospreay. So
yeah,
both of these men
by God.
Which should make Miro happy. So but this was a really fun way to close the show, and it was also not the typical AEW go home of like so much gang wars. Like, it was a trios match, so of course it was like a but it wasn't like a huge melee where the whole locker room comes out at the end and we all brawl. So I loved it. I thought it was a very fun way to close the show.
Now, let me ask you this question. We don't know who's getting to the final yet, right? Because we still have to get to Rampage.
Rampage. It's French.
Rampage. Does anybody think it's possible that Will Ospreay costs Kenny Omega and the Bucks the titles?
Ooh, that could be very fun. That could be a very fun story. Though I kind of want them to reignite Hangman and Kenny more than I want that, but I wouldn't be mad about it.
Because then we would get a singles, Ospreay Omega.
Probably at Grand Slam.
No.
My only issue there would be that'd be the third match in this tournament that had that same ending.
Yeah. I mean, but if it's gonna give me Ospreay Omega 1-on-1, I'll be like, fine.
Yeah.
It's just a trios title.
On one with the great one.
Jason Edelman saying that the video is actually up now. It's up already.
Nice.
So check it out on the YouTube. All right. So guys, that's the end of the show. So let's just run through the card for All Out.
Okay.
We know we're getting Pac versus Kip Sabian for the All Atlantic Championship in the pre-show.
Pac retains.
I think that's the same thing. Schlong, you think Pac is going to retain?
Yeah, but I love Kip Sabian right now, so I'm good with either outcome.
Okay. Hook versus Angelo Parker for the FTW title is in the pre-show. Hook is definitely retaining that.
Hook, brother.
Yeah.
We are going to get Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii in the pre-show as well. Kate, you think it's going to be Eddie?
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope Ishii then turns around and challenges Pac because he was not in that 4-pack at Forbidden Door. So I hope that's Pac's next challenger.
That'd be interesting. We know we're getting Ricky Starks versus Powerhouse Hobbs. I think Starks is going to win this somehow. He's going to find a way.
It needs to be Starks. He's the one who needs to come out with a victory in this feud.
Yeah, agreed.
Jade versus Athena for the TBS title. We already talked about this. We think it's going to be Athena for the win here.
Yep.
Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed for the tag team championships. I think just because of the timing, Swerve in Our Glory is going to retain here. But I think that the Acclaimed are future tag title holders.
Agreed.
Agreed on both points.
Let's see here. Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Penta El Zero, Phoenix Andrade, El Idolo, Roosh, Dante Martin, and one mystery opponent will be in the Casino ladder match for a future AEW World title shot. All right, guys, what do you think here? I think it's going to be our mystery tall guy, but I don't know who the tall guy is at this point. I would have said, okay, Morrissey if he debuted or came back on Sunday, but who's this going to be?
Wait, did they say be a tall guy?
Well, no, but I'm just
curious because if I'd missed that does change.
I mean, there's a couple. I think it's going to be Samoa Joe because I'm going to stick with my MJF ending. And Samoa Joe just finished up that TV series, so I'm going with Samoa Joe, and I also think he'd just be a fucking blast in this ladder match. So that's my pick.
Not a bad pick.
Yeah.
Yes. Twisted Metal did finish filming, so Samoa Joe is available to be back, I guess, at any time.
Yeah, I think Samoa Joe would be the most fun. Truthfully, I don't think this is a big enough spot for an MJF return. If MJF doesn't return main event, it's been a miss.
I mean, it's for a world title shot.
Yeah, I don't think MJF is the secret.
Yeah,
but I don't think this is the spot.
I agree with that. I like my booking. Shocker.
We get FTR and Wardlow versus Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns.
Faces.
Schlong? faces.
It's FTR and Wardlow, yeah. But I think it sets up a match between the Motor City Machine Guns and FTR, like just a straight up tag match.
Yeah, I agree.
I hope so.
Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. I think Jungle Boy's gotta win this.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he doesn't win, what are we doing?
And I don't need 3 of these. Just blow it off.
Yeah, just
Christian can take a loss and he's fine because he's Christian. He's at that level. Jungle Boy needs the win.
Totally, 100%. Okay, let's see. House of Black versus Sting, Darby Allin, and Miro. I think the faces are winning this.
Agreed.
We'll have Tony Storm versus Britt Baker versus Jamie Hayter versus Shida for the interim women's world championship. I think we're all in agreement that this is pointing likely to Tony Storm. Is that right?
Yeah, I think why wouldn't you go to Tony Storm?
Okay. We have our trios tournament finals, and I think we all know how this is going to go down. It's going to be Hangman and the Dark Order versus the Bucks and Kenny Omega. I would say if there's no shenanigans, I think that Omega and the Bucks win. But if there is something where Ospreay gets involved, then it's got to be the Dark Order winning.
I think it's Dark Order regardless. You gotta give them something.
Yeah.
And Young Bucks and Kenny, they're already killing it. They're already very, very over.
Okay.
It's a tough one. I'm torn because Dark Order, for the reason Kate said, but if you give it to the Elite, that's a very good way to establish those belts.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Pick one.
Elite.
Okay. I think either way, is a good choice to go. I mean,
was given context, but apparently Kate's just forcing me to answer.
Just make a pick, would you? Danielson versus Jericho, the Lionheart Chris Jericho. I think it's going to be Jericho this time.
I'm going Danielson.
I'm going Danielson.
Okay. I'm also going Danielson. And then in our World Championship, Moxley versus CM Punk. Now, Kate fantasy booked it. Kate, can you remind people of your fantasy booking?
Yes.
Yes, CM Punk laying in bed. The pillows. Oh.
No.
Skinny long.
That is zombie gasoline wielding Eddie Kingston enemy. CM Punk wins with the assistance of a returning Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you said it differently before, but I was going to say that's how I sort of had it going down, is that we find out CM Punk has some sort of alliance with MJF, and CM Punk wins it with the help of MJF. So we're sort of on the same page, Kate. I'm with you there.
Any debuts?
Well, Schlong, who do you think is going to win that title match? You think it's going to be Punk or Moxley?
Yeah.
I have the same booking, Punk with the help of MJF, which is why I don't think we have a debut, but we have the return of MJF, which is stronger than pretty much any debut you could make.
Right now, yeah, I agree.
And the only spot to debut somebody is really in that ladder match. So if it's not a returning Samoa Joe, that's where you got to deliver somebody,
Yeah. And
Leo
you
Rush.
could always do, I don't know what Deanna's contract status is in Impact or whatever, but the women's division could always use help. So
I think Deanna's up in January.
Oh, that would be, she should come hang out.
She could. Well, that's the pay-per-view. That is Dynamite. A couple news and notes, Ryan. We were talking about the video game last week. They were at GamesCon. They had the video game, live play demos and footage and stuff like that. It actually was named the best sports/racing game at the show. So already turning heads, winning awards.
It looks awesome. I'm actually very excited to play it.
It does, but let me tell you this, Ryan. You're not going to be able to play as FTR because they found out after the fact that they weren't going to be in the video game. And there was an interview with Give Me Sport where Dax and Cash were sort of asked about a few things, and they said they were kind of blindsided by it. Like they found out something like they weren't included in the game because they like didn't have the communication, right? That communication gap sort of got in the way again. So it seems like it's a non-issue for them. They're okay with it. They just maybe would have liked to know sooner, which I get it.
Well, I'm gonna play video game cynic for a second and pretty much predict they're gonna be in DLC.
Yeah,
that every game now comes
DLC,
out with DLC, and they're going to be paid DLC because they've already been modeled. So like they have the scans, they have everything. So them and probably some other wrestlers are coming out as paid DLC. The reason I'm the cynic is I just hate hate that. Give me these guys in the regular game to start.
Right.
But they want to make more money off of me, and that's not just an AEW thing. That is literally a video game industry issue.
Sure. No, I'm with you there. Kate, I think you said you had a couple pieces of news and notes.
I mean, the most recent thing is that Bobby Fish's contract is not getting renewed, it sounds like. So he might either be going back to WWE now that Hunter's in charge, or maybe ending his 430-year career. So good for him.
I mean, he signed a short-term contract. My God.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I wonder if that was a 6-monther. But I think it's also a little tricky because I think Kyle O'Reilly's still hurt. So maybe he just feels like there's no direction for him and he doesn't want to do stuff in ROH. And then the other piece of news that is exciting to us in particular is come November, the rumored location for Full Gear is Newark, and a credible enough rumor that it's being reported. So that would be very, 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 very exciting for yours truly, Collective.
That would be good. And we're heading out to Arthur Ashe in like 3 weeks. So we'll be at Grand Slam. We're hopefully looking forward to a good show there. Next week, I mean, obviously this week, Friday night is the live Rampage in Chicago. Sunday is the pay-per-view. So tune in for the pay-per-view on Sunday. It's on Bleacher Report, right?
Yeah.
It's on Bleacher Report. And there's the free show that starts at 7 and the pay-per-view starts at 8, so tune in. And then next week they make their Buffalo debut for the Fallout from All Out on Wednesday night. So just a few things coming up there. Anybody else got news and notes?
No, I'm just excited for the pay-per-view, brother.
It should be fun. I don't know if we were planning on watching it together anywhere, but we'll figure it out. All right. Well, then I guess we're wrapping it up here. So, Kate, why don't you tell people where you are? Because whenever you're not here, I do a terrible job of it.
Well, you can follow me on at Miss Kate Fabe on Twitter for all of them. But every Tuesday and Friday on Fightful YouTube, doing the NXT and AEW Rampage SmackDown post shows. Wednesdays right here whenever I can be. And for pretty much every pay-per-view now, behind the paywall on Fightful Select. So come join me and Alex Pulaski there. And this weekend, I didn't have a buzzword, but I did do commentary at Excite Wrestling. So I'll be going back there in September, I believe the 17th. So
okay, we have time then to plan a word for Kate to work into the commentary.
You have time. We're not going to do it, but we have time.
We have time. Yeah, Kate's doing a post show for the pay-per-view. We are not. That's a fucking late night. So we'll
Thank
talk
God
about
it's Labor Day weekend, because
but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it here. We'll give our kind of review next week here. Like we'll forget Rampage because that will have been, the lead into the pay-per-view, and we'll just talk about the pay-per-view and Dynamite, the Fallout. So, Schlong, when you're not here, what are you doing?
Apparently nothing, by the way. I'm judged. But every Monday and Tuesday, I am live tweeting Dark and Elevation at Mark Order Pod. You can interact with me there the rest of the week. Just don't be a dick. And so Schlong and good night.
Well, as you all know, this is the only place I'm ever on. So every Wednesday night, check me out on the Mark Order Podcast. And you can find us on all of our social channels at Mark Order Pod. Make sure you head over to Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all of the places. hit the button in our link tree, or hit the link to our link tree, then click the button for requesting free stickers. Give us your name, most important thing, your full mailing address and the country you live in, and I'll send you out some free stickers. And if you're only following us on one of our platforms, you can find all the links to the other platforms in the link tree on our social profile.
Yeah, follow us everywhere.
Please, it helps. The other thing is, thanks to everybody who's watching along with us tonight. We had a bunch of people hanging out all night. Asian Joe, Gordon Post, Jesse Ozog, Rob Humphrey, Jason Edelman, a whole bunch of the crew was hanging out. Boy, Kate's so Hollywood, she just bailed. She's just like, see you fucks.
What a bitch.
Oof. She's trying to get that long and skinny. Thanks to everybody who is watching with us tonight on Facebook. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, we thank you for your support as well. If you are listening on a podcast platform, the best thing you could do to help us out is to rate, subscribe, review, all that kind of stuff. It helps us show up in the algorithms. If you've never checked us out and you're listening on podcast form, you've never checked us out in video format, head over to our YouTube. All of our videos stay there. Our bonus shows, our regular weekly podcast, and you can take a look at Ryan's backgrounds or watch Kate freeze and do all that sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, check us out. Other than that, everybody enjoy the long, if you're in the United States, that is, Ryan, I forget, we're worldwide here. We're bigger than just one continent.
Worldwide.
But if you're in the U.S., enjoy the long weekend. Wrapping up the end of summer. Enjoy the pay-per-view, and we will be back here, Ryan, next week to talk about All Out, the fallout from All Out, and yeah, see how things are going after the long holiday weekend. So Ryan, thanks for joining. I would have told Kate thank you if she was still here, but she doesn't care. She's just like, I bailed because it's over.
She's too good for us.
Hollywood, man.
Holly won't.
Oh shit. Thanks everybody out there for listening. We'll be back next week. Excuse me, my mic got disconnected. Episode 76 here on the Mark Order Podcast. We'll talk to you then. See ya.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.